Donnie Burgess.
More of the same for former Clark County Sheriff Jamie Knoll. Investigators say that they have more evidence of fraud and money laundering on his part. So prosecutors are adding 6 new charges to the at least 31 that he faces now. He's accused of stealing money from the county and spending it on himself in several different ways. Caden Rutledge will not be going to trial for attempted murder charges in Mishawaka. He's accused of stabbing his mother 13 times, along with 2 of their dogs back in August. The teenager told investigators that Satan told him to do it. After another psych eval, Rutledge has been deemed legally insane. Positive steps for Colts quarterback Anthony Richardson.
Feels good, feels normal. I'm just trying to keep it working.
Talking about his injured shoulder from last season, Richardson has been leading first-team reps in OTAs. Colts mandatory minicamp starts today. Traffic on the 5s, Matt Baer.
Yeah, current westbound 70 stop and go traffic on the east side, 465 past Emerson. It is a reroute around the construction zone on the southeast side. That is southbound 465. That's closed from 70 to 65, about 9 miles there until June 24th, give or take. It's a paving and patching and bridge project. Northbound 465 on the east side, stop and go east 56 to Allisonville Road. Inbound 69 slows 106 on in. Traffic sponsored by Anthem Blue Cross and Blue Shield. They teamed up with the Indiana Fever and Common Threads to provide local schools with information for nutritious meal preparation. Learn more at anthem.com/fever. Anthem Blue Cross and Blue Shield is the trade name of Anthem Insurance Companies Incorporated. I'm Matt Baer with traffic on the 5s. Follow us at WIBC Traffic.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-444-9336. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-444-9336. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-444-9336. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. Call 800-444-9336. 800-444-9336.
Up to 50% off on all of our windows and doors, plus 12 months, no payments, no interest. It's our great granddaddy of a sale.
The forecast from the American Standard Cooling Weather Center.
Sunny skies, warm and humid, but should be quiet today. A high of 84. Partly cloudy and muggy tonight. A few isolated showers and storms. A low of 69. I'm Wish TV Storm Track 8 meteorologist Marcus Bailey for 93 WIBC.
Partly sunny, 74 downtown. Storms possible this afternoon. I'm Kurt Darling. On the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
You're listening to Rob Kendall.
When we talk about sending money somewhere, we're talking about printing the money because we have no money.
And Casey Daniels.
My government would never lie to me, would they?
On 93 WIBC.
Well, good morning. It is Tuesday, June 4th. It is 7 minutes after 9 with Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC. So it was a packed house last night, and the Indianapolis City County Council voted 16-8 to formally adopt a proposal enabling the creation of a new professional sports development area for a Major League Soccer stadium.
Okay, so basically there's so many tentacles to this. First of all, the overarching theme of last night is you cannot trust the city of Indianapolis. You can't trust Joe Hogsett. You can't trust the city county council, and their word means nothing. And if you're doing something, it better all 100% be in writing, and maybe sort of even if it is in writing, you shouldn't feel real good about that, because last night was it was a fait accompli. Everybody knew what was going to happen, but it was the official act of the knife not only being stuck in the back of Ursula Ozdemir, but the knife being twisted in. And thank you for the decade plus of service to our community, all the money you've put in. Probably, if we're being honest with ourselves, all the money he's likely lost based on that adventure. and screw you and your $1.5 or 1.2 or whatever, how many billion-dollar development it is. We're done with you. We found a new girl to take to the prom. We wish you the best of luck.
So Mayor Joe Hogsett put out a statement, and he said that tonight a bipartisan vote of the City County Council sent a resounding message. Was it really resounding if it was 16-8?
Well, it was resounding in the sense of we resoundingly tell you that our word means nothing. We resoundingly tell you that the good works you have done in this city mean absolutely nothing. And we resoundingly tell you that no matter what you have previously done, it means absolutely zero if we get something that we believe could potentially maybe be better than what you have to offer us in the present.
Okay, so now at this point, it goes on to the State Budget Committee.
So this is where it gets super interesting because so we're talking about two separate things here. The original plan, 11 Park, for lack of a better term, that's what we'll call it, 11 Park, the Diamond Chain property, was able to be done based on a special permission from the Indiana General Assembly. And I'm going to simplify a very complex thing, and I'm sure some government bureaucrat in the State House basement is screaming at his radio that I'm missing a couple steps here, but I'm trying to simplify a very complex thing. So basically what the city and Ursula Ozdemir did is they went to the state of Indiana and said, we cannot do this project without granting of a special taxing authority status. And this kind of was a good idea because what they had said is we don't want any money from the taxpayers. What we want is the ability to have a special taxing district where essentially the money collected in the taxing district from the new buildings that go up will stay in that taxing district to be able to pay for the things we're creating. So you have two options, state. By the way, the state has crushed local government's ability to do things like this. Keep in mind, the state has, remember when we did the LEAP interview where they were talking about how they created a special thing for LEAP? So the state will do this because it works. It's mostly called TIF in communities when local communities try to do it. State has gutted TIF for locals' ability to do it, but because it works and it actually works really well, when the state wants something, they'll grant it like it's going out of style, whether it's their LEAP district or this thing over here. So basically what they said was, okay, we're going to give you the ability to do this because we know this thing works. There's a track record of it working, and we would rather have something than nothing, and the only way to get something is this special taxing district. Well, the city is essentially saying, well, you gave us this special taxing authority. We're going to take it from Diamond Chain property or
put it over the 11.
Yeah, right. We're going to move it. And now this memo has apparently come out from Todd Rokita, the Attorney General, saying, whoa. You can't just move this thing. The legislature gave you this authority based on a very specific project in a very specific area, and it is my legal opinion as the chief law enforcement officer of the state of Indiana. Boy, hot day. And Casey, 2 days in a row, I'm going to say something nice about Todd Rokita, and he is absolutely right on this, that the state legislature did not grant you permission to screw over Ursula Ozdemir. The state legislature did not grant you permission to screw over the Indy 11. The state legislature did not grant you permission to screw over the Keystone Group. If you want something new in a new location that is not 11 Park, you will have to come back to the General Assembly and get new authority to be able to do that.
So what does that do with the Diamond property? It's still in a special tax district?
Well, this is what nobody knows because
they have to end that one.
Well, again, Casey, and this is what I told you before that we went on the air. Good government should be able to be explained to the public at large on a napkin. If you can't write it on a napkin and a person of reasonable intelligence look at it and go, yeah, that makes sense, then it's bad government. You wouldn't be able to explain this in a Dickens novel. I mean, there's all these unanswered questions, right? So Diamond Chain property was being demolished in the process of beginning. How can you screw somebody in the middle of the process of them doing the thing that you had, charged them to do? Can you just move this thing over here? What happens to now what they were trying to do at the Diamond Chain property? None of this is clear to anyone. And now that you've got Rokita saying, yeah, I don't think you can do that. And look, the Attorney General's word is not God. It is not gospel. But as we saw when Curtis Hill came out in 2020 and told Holcomb, you cannot put someone in jail for them not wearing a mask, the legislature could do that. You can't do that. And then that got removed as part of the executive order. The Attorney General's legal opinion does carry a great deal of weight.
So at what point is the General Assembly or the State Budget Committee going to look at this and go, wait a minute, we already approved this once over here. you messed that up. We're not doing it again over here. Are any of them going to stand up and say no?
Well, we already know a lot about the character of the Indiana General Assembly, but you're going to have that. They're going to have another opportunity to show you what they're all about, because they granted special permission based on Ursel Ozdemir and the Keystone Group. And don't kid yourself, a large part of that was the relationships that Ursel Ozdemir and the Keystone Group have built, and the Indy 11 has built over the years of being a reliable, good steward of resources and citizens of the community. And now you're going to find out if the Indiana General Assembly actually cares about doing the right thing, if the Indiana General Assembly actually cares about local merchants who have followed through on their obligations to the community, or if they are willing to be just like Joe Hawk. Because keep in mind, we still don't know who the ownership group is.
Right.
The Indianapolis City County Council last night voted for something that either they have no idea what it is or they're intent on not telling the public what it is. I don't know which one is worse, but that's what they have no idea what it is. If you listen to that thing last night, they have no idea, they claim, it appears, who these people are or what's going on, and they're taking the word of Joe Hogsett, which I can't think of a worse person to take the word of.
I thought it was really interesting. At one point during the meeting, Dan Boots, he said that no professional sports league wants to touch a controversial issue with a 10-foot pole. Very simple, like building a stadium on the site where there are those remains.
Yeah, but that isn't. But there's no proof of that.
And that's exactly the point. The minority leader said, "Where's the proof? Bring that forward. You can't just. We're not just taking your word on this."
That kept being the reoccurring theme last night. Is no one wants to build on Diamond Chain. Well, okay. Number one, you didn't seem to give two damns about that when it was going to be the 11 building there. You thought the 11 wanted to build there. They did want to build there. It was going to be a stadium, maybe not as big as a Major League Soccer stadium, but certainly able to hold more than 10,000 people, and that was fine. Where's the proof? Nobody from Major League Soccer has come out and publicly said that I am aware of that they would not. And by the way, you don't even know you're going to get the team.
Right. I was going to say MLS hasn't even come out and said, yes, we're definitely on board.
So you have all of this being done. You are stabbing the knife in the back of a great taxpayer-paying citizen of this community and company of this community over the theoretical chance you could get a Major League Soccer team. Tampa and Sacramento are not simply going away just because you guys are pulling this crap show. They're not going away. They want a team. And you still don't, public doesn't even know who the ownership group is. This is the worst government it is just horrible government. And it's all about, and it's always here's the thing with these government people. The ends always justify the means. It doesn't matter that we're screwing this guy over. It doesn't matter that we're being anti-transparent. It doesn't matter that we're keeping the public in the dark on everything. It doesn't matter that we're going back on our word. Why? Because, the end will be a Major League Soccer team, and that'll be freaking awesome.
Mm-hmm. It is Kendall Casey. It's 93 WIBC. So the jury has been seated for the Hunter Biden trial, and there was a glitch yesterday in the New York Stock Exchange. It's on the way from 93 WIBC.
Tony Katz.
Do they still do mail and caramel?
Caramel, don't ever change.
I love the living statues that sit on the benches. They're awesome.
Yes, that's how people from Greenwood earn extra money. Oh, I'm going to get emails. What have I done? You know everybody here is just in debt and house poor up to their ass. Don't you laugh, Zionsville. You have it worse. $1.13 trillion of credit card debt. Half of that is on the west side of Carmel.
Tony Katz, mornings 6 to 9 on 93 WIBC and WIBC.com.
You love the summer in Indy, so don't ruin it painting. Do what Judy did. She called Rhino Shield.
The house that Rhino Shield did for my husband and I, after having the house painted with kind of usual house paint, I was seeing cracks appearing about every 3 years and just wasn't very satisfied with that.
Rhino Shield's a ceramic coating specifically formulated for our unique climate.
I can't speak highly enough about the Rhino Shield crew. They also were great at working with me to get the exact right color because I was very particular.
Indy, you can get the 25-year guaranteed protection of Rhino Shield right now for 10% off the regular price.
I would not hesitate to call Rhino Shield, and I am just thrilled to recommend Rhino Rhino Shield to my friends and neighbors and family.
Here's Rhino Shield's Shane Smith.
This offer is limited, so call me at 888-RHINO-41. That's 888-RHINO-41.
Don't paint.
Don't vinyl.
Go Rhino.
Paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
Sinus pressure, congestion, snoring, being unable to sleep, being unable to breathe. Yep, it's another sinus infection. You've Googled, watched videos, tried over-the-counter sprays, medications, and home remedies, but nothing ever works. There must be some kind of treatment that can help, right? Indianapolis Sinus Center understands how draining it can be when you try treatment after treatment without any relief. That's why they've been serving and treating the community for over 50 years. Indianapolis Sinus Center has performed thousands of procedures and helped thousands of patients find lasting relief they didn't know was possible. Patients like you. If you've had enough of sinus pain, pressure, and congestion, schedule a visit with Indianapolis Sinus Center today. Call 317-528-9650 and take the first step toward breathing easy. 317-528-9650. That's 317-528-9650 or visit IndianapolisSinusCenter.com.
Guys, maybe you're working outside, maybe you're trying to get more from your workouts or thinking about a golf tee time. If you're lacking energy, motivation, or gaining weight, there could be another T to think about. That's a low T. Testosterone therapy can help you get back to feeling your best. We recommend Low T Center.
With over a decade of experience, they make it easy. Take a simple blood test and get results back in about 25 minutes. Go to lowtcenter.com to book your appointment online. Low T Center, reinventing men's healthcare.
Hey everyone, it's Ted from Consumer Cellular, the guy in the orange sweater, and this is your wake-up call. If you're paying too much for wireless service, you don't have to keep having that nightmare. Consumer Cellular has the same fast, reliable coverage as the leading carriers for up to half the cost. So why keep spending more than you have to? Seriously, wake up and call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com.
Savings based on cost of Consumer Cellular single line 1, 5, and 10 gig data plans with unlimited talk and text compared to lowest cost single line postpaid unlimited talk, text, and data plans offered by T-Mobile and Verizon January 2024.
A jury was seated and sworn in at 4:20 yesterday.
Oh, how exciting. What a perfect time for Hunter Biden.
He's going to have a lot of fun, don't you think? So the jurors include a former Secret Service employee. Also, several of the jurors said that their family members had close friends with histories of substance abuse.
That seems like a bit of a bias one way or another, doesn't it?
You think? No. Yes, just a little bit. Some of the jurors were dismissed for saying that they had strong opinions about gun ownership.
Well, I mean, look.
One was dismissed for saying that he was friendly with Hunter Biden's late brother, Beau.
I mean, here. he's totally good. Everything's totally above board. I mean, again, you get a feel for things based on how the jury selection goes. And I think any good attorney will tell you this. I mean, remember, we had your husband on last week, and he was talking about that murder trial. He was the foreman on. There's a reason that attorney wanted your husband to be on the jury. They know realistically, based on the makeup of the jury, what sort of outcome they're likely to get. That attorney knew your husband. Hey, he's an executive. He's a professional guy. He knows how rules are written. He knows to follow rules. He's going to be unemotional about it. And as your husband said, even though the guy was a greaseball that they were judging, the law said he was in the clear, and they put him in the clear. When you get these jurors coming, it was like the Trump trial. Everybody knew Trump was going down based on the exit interviews of the jurors who were not selected. When they're all coming out almost to a person going, yeah, I hate Trump. Yeah, I want to see Trump burn. Yeah, there's no way I would have not convicted Trump. You can either accept, wow, that luckily they got every anomaly, or that's basically every person in that room. Same thing here. When you're getting these people that are coming out, it's like, there's probably a strong chance just based on emotion they're not going to convict this guy, even though he's obviously guilty of sin.
So Hunter was hugging his mom, Jill. She was there. Of course, President Biden hasn't really said much about it other than that he's a dad and he loves his son. He's also said no one is above the law. So I can't imagine which side he's going to fall on.
I mean, this should be a slam dunk case. Hunter Biden purchased that firearm. Period. End of story. It's not in dispute that he purchased the firearm. Hunter Biden, both of his own admission publicly and with video and photographic and written evidence, was clearly using drugs at the time, and he filled out a form that you're not allowed to do that, right?
Saying that he was clean.
Exactly.
When clearly he wasn't. The prosecution's first witness is going to be a FBI Special Agent Erica Jensen. But while Jill was at the courthouse, where was Joe?
Can you share what he did today? We didn't see him all day. There was no schedule of what he did.
I don't have anything to share with you and what I can say is the president, as you know, he made some calls. He called the newly elected Mexico president. We put out a statement there. And so what I can say that he certainly continues to work on behalf of the American people. That's something that he does day in, day out. I just don't have anything to say as it's related to the event today.
He made some calls.
He disappeared. The president disappeared.
He made a call.
Like nobody saw the president.
Yeah, he didn't have any meetings.
The president of the United States.
Well, his son was on trial. It was his wife's birthday too.
It's not like your neighbor Fred. Hey, nobody saw Fred today. Is Fred all right? I don't know. We'll check on him tomorrow if nobody sees him in the backyard. Or, this is the president. Like there's no like people saw Biden and he was nothing.
No, he was not in meetings.
How is that even possible?
Yeah. This is kind of funny. They're reporting that during the jury selection, the jury snack cart was wheeled out. You know what they give the jurors as snacks?
What?
Goldfish crackers, Oreos, Pringles, and granola bars. It's worth reporting.
I want to come back to a second. I feel like we have buried the lead, though.
That Joe was MIA?
The president of the United States.
Yeah. Do you want to hear it again?
Well, I mean, I think I missed a step in this process, Casey. There's no way the president of the United States' whereabouts were just largely unaccounted for.
Can you share what he did today? We didn't see him all day. There was no schedule of what he did.
I don't have anything to share with you and what I can say is the president, as you know, he made some calls.
He made some calls.
Yeah, so there was no schedule of what he did.
Is that can't be normal?
I wouldn't think so. I wouldn't think that's normal. Normally, I mean, they know where he is every second of the day, all the time.
I mean, if you were to ask me for a count of my whereabouts, and she was struggling. She was struggling to even remember what phone calls he had allegedly made. Like I could give you a humble midday radio broadcaster in Indianapolis could give you a play-by-play of my whereabouts throughout the course of the day, and people have seen me, like they saw me at the grocery store, they saw me at the Arby's, or you're seeing me now, or my wife saw me this morning, or like, what is going on here?
Yeah, no schedule of what he was doing. It is Kendall and Casey. It's 93 WIBC. Something else that happened yesterday, the New York Stock Exchange glitched. That caused Warren Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway stock to plummet to 99%. So there was a point yesterday you could have put like $100 in.
Yeah.
And then when it shot back up, you'd have been a multimillionaire.
I don't think you really would have been, Casey. I think that was not. I think it got voided because I saw people posting this on the internet. I don't think that's like a legitimate
Those
thing.
transactions wouldn't have gone through that quickly. But
I don't think those would have counted.
It does raise some questions, though, about the stability of things, don't you think? I mean, shaking investors' confidence.
Well, my wife and I were having this conversation this morning about mega companies and how you can judge whether a mega company is doing well. And, I think every so often there's these, Enrons or whatever that pop up. And I think when you're going to play in the market, you sort of accept when you get in, I am at the whims and risks and decisions and maybe lack of oversight of people I'll never meet, and my entire financial fortune might rest in their hands.
It does show that a simple glitch like that can cause a whole lot of chaos and proves that maybe the system isn't as strong as you think.
That's Office Space, right? Glitch in the system. Yeah. They made a fortune off the glitch in the system.
Talk about a glitch in the system.
Kurt Darling giving two fist
I love Office Space. I love that movie.
All these years later, it still holds true. All right, hey, let's take a break. When we come back, Casey Smith from Indiana Capitol Chronicles is going to join us. She had that fabulous piece on that dirtball Jamie Knoll yesterday, and so we're going to ask her all the tough things about how is it possible that the governor could not know that one of his best friends was living millions of dollars above his means. Are there other politicians who likely might have known something was amiss with Jamie Knoll? This guy's tentacles touch a whole lot of people.
It's on the way from 93 WIBC.
When life spells heartburn, how do you spell relief? R-O-L-A-I-D-S.
What about when life spells fried chicken?
R-O-L-A-I-D-S.
Fourth cup of coffee?
Still R-O-L-A-I-D-S.
Extra cheesy pizza?
Rolaids always spells relief. Rolaids' powerful dual-active formula begins neutralizing acid on contact to fight your heartburn fast. So, when life spells heartburn, Rolaids spells relief. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Hey guys, it's Rob for my friends at the Bath Authority. And you know the Bath Authority, they do it all. Walk-in tubs, replacement showers, tub-to-shower conversions, and more. And your project with the Bath Authority will be low maintenance, resistant to mold and mildew, easy to clean, and last for decades. Oh, yeah, and it comes with a lifetime warranty. Listen to this deal going on right now with the Bath Authority. Call today, 317-532-5711, 317-532-5711, and you're going to get free installation on your new shower or bath, plus 36 months of interest-free financing. Oh, yeah, and on top of that, when you call 317-532-5711, schedule your free in-home estimate today, you're going to get $1,500 off a new shower or bath. Now, some restrictions apply on all of this, so you got to call today to get all the details. The Bath Authority, 317-532-5711. And see it all for yourself online, thebathauthority.com, thebathauthority.com. Tell them Rob sent you.
Are you feeling jitters from the potential impact the election could have on your financial future? With so much news about how your investments could be impacted, it's hard to feel confident your portfolio is built to withstand it all. Let Creative Planning help you evaluate your portfolio for election readiness. Go to creativeplanning.com/radio and request your free election readiness review. When you have the right plan and portfolio, you don't have to fear the election. Act now. This offer is only good till Monday at midnight. creativeplanning.com/radio.
At Uline, they know firsthand the road to success is an uphill climb. Uline started in the family basement, and through hard work is now North America's most trusted shipping and industrial supplier. They get what it means to have the support of reliable, hard-working partners. So they keep 41,000 items ready to ship. Whether your company is still in a basement office or expanding cross-country, Uline will be there on your road to success. Visit uline.com.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
Figuring ways to bring them home. Radar is clear. It is 76 and sunny downtown. I'm Kurt Darling. Here's what's trending at 9:30. Intelligence experts are updating how many people are still being held hostage in Gaza. Fox's Jonathan Savage.
The official estimate is that Hamas still holds 120 people captive, but 43 have been declared dead in absentia. Palestinian militants took around 250 hostages into Gaza during their massacre of October 7th last year. Meanwhile, the families of 8 Americans kidnapped by Hamas are on Capitol Hill for a bipartisan meeting about efforts to get them released. Jonathan Savage, Fox News.
President Biden expected to take executive action to temporarily shut down the southern border when the number of migrant crossings surges. The executive order expected today would allow border authorities to turn away migrants seeking asylum who have crossed between legal ports of entry. Your opening bell report on 93 WIBC brought to you by Absolute Wealth Management, LLC. Slight declines to start the day. The Dow is off 55 points at the opening bell to 38,601. The NASDAQ down at 19 to 18,627. And the S&P 500 is down 11 to 5,285. I'm Kurt Darling, on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
We all have people in our lives we interact with. Maybe it's your favorite barista, a neighbor who waves to you every morning, a coworker you grab lunch with, or maybe it's me, the hairstylist you've gone to for years. What if you learned I had a substance use disorder? Would it change how you see me? It's okay to see the addiction, but when you choose to see the person, not just their disease, it can help change someone's life. Learn more at cbeyondtheaddiction.org.
Close your eyes and picture it. The warm sun on your face. The sound of waves lapping against the shore. What if I told you that feeling of summer relaxation could be yours all year round? At Howard Bailey Financial, we specialize in retirement planning that lets you embrace that summer state of mind every day. Imagine knowing that your future is secure. With our expert advisors, we'll craft a personalized retirement plan tailored to your dreams. Whether it's traveling the world or pursuing your passions, we'll ensure that your retirement is as carefree and fulfilling as a relaxing summer afternoon. Embrace a summer state of mind and text SUMMER to 888-494-5004 to download our complimentary retirement toolkit and experience your retirement planning with confidence.
This endorsement was not provided by a client of Howard Bailey. This individual was compensated for this endorsement. For more information, visit howardbailey.com/TSY.
Promise me, son, not to do the things I've done. Walk away from trouble if you can.
So the big piece, Casey, came out on Jamie Knoll, and I was here for every single second of it.
The rise and fall of Jamie Knoll and the top Indiana Republicans who knew along the way.
Yeah, it is the Kendall Casey Show. I'm Rob. That's Casey. And yeah, we talked about yesterday, started the show, in fact, with that fabulous piece by Casey Smith in the Indiana Capital Chronicle on Jamie Knoll, this former Clark County sheriff, one of the most powerful Republicans in the state. And most importantly to me, Casey, one of the best friends in the whole world and closest political allies in the whole world of Governor Eric Holcomb.
Well, not only Eric Holcomb, but you got to remember he also had close ties to the former governor and former Vice President Mike Pence.
Yeah, and this is a fabulous piece in the Indiana Capital Chronicle by Casey Smith, who joins us now on the WIBC hotline. Casey, first of all, it's such a thorough piece. It's so long. How long did it take you to put this piece together?
So I've been working on this for, I don't know, weeks, maybe months now. It's long. It could have been so much longer. I mean, there's so much still to write to multiple people I've talked with at the onset of the reporting. They said kind of jokingly, you could write a book about this.
Yeah.
But, I mean, there's a book's worth of, already, and there's more that's still going to come out of this investigation and all that's happening.
So every time Rob goes on the air on WIBC and says, when is somebody going to ask the governor? You've been screaming at your radio, I'm working on it. Yeah, and I've been asking. There's a statement in the story from Holcomb, which didn't exactly answer all the questions that we've been asking. He does say that he, over, I guess, the course of his relationship with Knoll, which, by the way, spans quite far back.
Yes.
Predating his time as governor.
Yes.
He said that Jamie never uttered one unethical word to him, and that Holcomb said he's been shocked and surprised by the allegations coming out of the investigation. But the questions that the governor didn't answer, the specific questions that we thought were important, were, did you knowingly or unknowingly ever accept any gifts, any travel, any cigars, which that's critical here. We know that Jamie spent upwards of $53,000 on cigars, for example. He was known to give them out. Did you ever accept any of these things from Jamie? We didn't get an answer on that. And I still think that's an important question that we'd like an answer to. Yeah.
Casey Smith is our guest with the Indiana Capital Chronicle. Her great piece out yesterday on Jamie Knoll. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing to me, Casey Smith, is not whether Jamie Knoll is a dirtball. He is. The bigger question is, how does a guy live allegedly millions of dollars beyond his means and arguably his best friend in the whole world? And by the way, you guys found the pictures, which I love, of Holcomb and Knoll together. Like, how does a governor not know that one of his closest political allies, one of his best friends, is living millions of dollars beyond his means?
I don't know the answer to that. I've asked a lot of folks that same question. I would love to get a more direct response from the governor on that as well, because it is kind of mind-boggling. You see the pictures of him with Holcomb, but it's also other folks who are critical faces and prominent other Republican figures in Indiana, Carl Hupfer, was one, for example. There's former Congressmen, Trey Hollingsworth and Mike Sodrell. If you remember back a couple years back when Mike Sodrell was running for Congress and there was the whole pole barn debacle, it was Jamie Knoll's pole barn, and that's where they found a lot of those vehicles, for example, which has been pretty interesting. And some of those photos in the story, too, of those cars.
So remind people of that, because I think you hit an interesting point. So Sodrell was a congressman. He got defeated. He was running for Congress again. I believe this is now Aaron Houchin is the congressperson there. There was an issue with his residency where he tried to claim that he lived at an address that was a pole barn. Is that right?
Yeah, so this was back in 2022, and Sodrell was running for Congress again down in the 9th, and he was trying to say that his residence where he lived was this address. I was working back at the AP at the time and went down to Utica where this address, this location was, and it was a giant pole barn, which at the time we found out belonged to Jamie Knoll, who was the sheriff at the time. So we didn't, it was a weird situation at that point. Sodrell back then said that it was, his bachelor pad and then it was owned by a friend. Now we know a lot more about that pole barn and what was actually inside of there. But again, Mike Sodrell is somebody who Jamie Knoll has been close with for almost at least, probably going on 2 decades at this point. And yeah, he went to the inauguration back in January of 2017 with Sodrell. That's who he was photographed with. I mean,
you're talking the inauguration of Trump.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I think it's also important to point out Knoll was very high in Holcomb's campaign both times. Like, he was integral in getting Holcomb across the finish line in 2016 when there was that special vote to replace Mike Pence. He was then integral as a part of what took place in 2020. It wasn't like this was some distant friend. Knoll and Holcomb were very close very, very recently.
Yeah, I mean, he co-led the campaign. He was making decisions. He was a critical player. And you're exactly right. He co-led the campaign. He was on one of the group who was first selecting who was going to replace Pence.
Yeah, so what we're talking about here. Real quick, I didn't mean to cut you off, but to remind me what we're talking about here. When Pence was the nominee for governor in 2016, Trump picks him to be vice president. The then Central Committee has to make the vote on who's going to replace Pence on the ballot. The vote was very close. Jamie Knoll was one of the deciding votes who picked Eric Holcomb. Is that right, Casey?
Yes, exactly. Then he went on to co-lead the campaign. He was on the governor's transition team. I mean, it went on. So even after Holcomb was in office, I mean, Jamie was there helping to kind of transition the governor into his new seat.
So, Casey, you released this story yesterday in Indiana Capital Chronicle, and before the day's already over, you already had an update. Tell everybody what the latest update is.
I cannot say that this is related to the story whatsoever, because emphasis on the state police investigation, which is massive, probably one of the most significant corruption cases in the state police's history. There were 6 new felony charges filed yesterday.
How many?
6. And so Jamie's actually due back in court this afternoon down in Clark County, but there are 5 new counts of theft and then 1 of money laundering. So he'll actually be back before a judge again today.
Casey, real quick, let me introduce our guest. Casey Smith is our guest. We're talking to her about her fabulous new piece on Jamie Knoll in the Indiana Capital Chronicle. Casey, go ahead.
Well, I'm wondering, the new additional counts of theft and money laundering, and do those revolve around checks to IU for daughter's tuition?
I haven't actually seen the full probable cause affidavit yet. I'm thinking I'm going to be heading down to the courtroom this afternoon to kind of see things shake out a little bit. Still trying to learn more about what those are related to exactly, but it's definitely part of this investigation, and there's many things tied to this.
In your piece, I think, and again, I thought you in one piece basically hit everything I've been screaming about for the past 6 months. It was as though I had written it myself. You did a phenomenal job. You read this piece and you say, okay, all of these, look, I knew about not all of this extracurricular shenanigans, but people knew about Noel, right? There was things out there. People knew about the illegitimate child. I mean, it was, you walk away from this piece, Casey Smith, and you say, there's no way all these super powerful people didn't know something was going on with this guy.
Well, that is the top thought that comes to mind when you try and question some of these top folks about what did you know, or, you know, what did you suspect, or what were your concerns. There's very little to, if anything at all, being said. So it's still, I think as the investigation continues, there may be some information that comes out on its own that way, but
And you said you're not done. You have many other pieces to go.
There are several in the works right currently now, yes.
You got to believe they knew something. I mean, the guy had a Cessna airplane. He was flying to Florida and Cuba. Like, hey, I'm gonna hop in the plane and just fly down to Cuba for the weekend. You look tan. Where did you go? Nobody thought that was different?
Maybe we should ask this in the form of a question, because Casey's a great reporter and she'll probably just ask what we ask her. Do you think that a lot more is going to come out, Casey Smith, about what other politicians might have known about Jamie Knoll?
I am not an investigator, but what I have been told by some who are knowledgeable about the investigation is that there are more surprises to come. I do not know what that means. I could assume that it could, there could be that kind of information that comes out, but it is kind of a waiting game.
The piece was fabulous. Everyone should totally go read it. We encourage you to do that after noon. We don't care what you do during Tony Katz. Wait until noon, but go read it over at the Indiana Capitol Chronicle. Casey Smith, thank you for spending a few minutes with us today, and we can't wait to read what you have coming up next.
Yep.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
You are listening to Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC.
On the Hammer and Nigel show, nobody has more fun than we do in the afternoons. Guy Relford filling in for Hammer. We kick it off at 3:06 right after the news, 93 WIBC.
When you use Bounce dryer sheets and your clothes look amazing, it's the sheet. Less static in your life? Yeah, it's the sheet. Smelling fresher than ever? It's the sheet. Oh, so soft fabric? Ooh la la. It's the sheet. Less wrinkles on your clothes? You know it's the sheet. Bounce dryer sheets. More freshness, more softness. Less static, less wrinkles. It's the sheet.
It is more important than ever to hire the right agent to sell your home to maximize its sales price. That's why I recommend Mark Dietel. Mark and his team have the plan and experience to sell your home fast for maximum cash. Maybe you want maximum equity from your home, but not sure how. Mark Dietel guarantees your home sold at a mutually agreed upon price and deadline, or he will buy it. Listen to what Jim and Jean in Whitestown had to say about working with Mark Dietel. Our 18-acre horse farm was a lot to manage, and we were ready to downsize. But selling a horse farm is unique. Takes the right agent and the right buyer, so we hired Mark Dietel. Mark aggressively marketed the property and found the right seller with a super quick close. Call the local Indianapolis agent I trust and recommend, and the agent who guarantees your home sold, or he'll buy it. Call Mark Dietel, 317-755-4232 for all the details, or go online to markdietel.com. That's Mark, Dietel.com. Tell him Rob sent you.
When you're drinking a frozen beverage from McDonald's, your brain may not like how refreshingly cold it is. But the rest of your body, oh yes, it's gonna relish every moment of it. Because there are drinks. Then there are drinks from McDonald's.
With options this good, you'll get chilled just thinking about them. Now grab any size soft drink for $1.39 and any size frozen drink like a frozen Coke for $2. Price and participation may vary.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Nobody cares for you like family. Family heating and air.
Maintenance is going to drastically increase the efficiency and performance of your system. It's also going to significantly improve the longevity of it. People think that they are saving money by skipping their maintenance, and in reality, they're just shaving years off the life and increasing the consumption of that unit, spending a lot more in the long term.
Get your tune-up today at Family Heating and Air, your trusted local independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer. Small business owners, we know tackling your to-do list can sometimes feel like going 12 rounds against a heavyweight champ. Except that heavyweight's gloves are made of something hard, like diamonds. So when a new to-do pops up, you're like, I can't. I'm boxing my diamond boxing glove-wearing heavyweight champ of a to-do list. At Progressive, we don't want to make your day any harder. That's why we make it easy with over 30 customizable coverage options, so you can finally land a knockout blow. See if you can save on business insurance in as little as 7 minutes at ProgressiveCommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company. Coverage provided and serviced by affiliated and third-party insurers.
Tune in to the Absolute Retirement Planning Show.
When retirement comes about, we're now relying on what we have saved to meet those needs.
Sundays at 9 a.m. right here on 93 WIBC.
Listen to Hammer and Nigel this week for your chance to win a 4-pack of tickets to the evening final session, the opening weekend of USA Swimming's Olympic Trials. More info at WIBC.com.
Well, after a New York jury convicted Donald Trump of 34 felony counts of falsifying business records, a lot of news organizations and pollsters quickly went and released some Snap surveys over the weekend. They wanted to see where people were falling after the results of that trial. And it seems that the Republican base remains overwhelmingly loyal, with 9 out of 10 standing behind him. And swing voters are a little more tepid in their support, but overall it's been pretty much a minimal shift in his influence.
Well, and this is what we kind of thought, right? That this election is going to be about whether you want to be able to afford food and gas or not. I mean, people loathe Trump. I know there are many people out there who love Donald Trump. I'm sorry, the populace as a collective loathes the guy personally. But Biden is so bad, and I think people have now recognized that if Biden remains president, none of this is going to get any better. So the election is going to come down to whether or not your personal opinion of Donald Trump will outweigh your want to be able to afford necessities in life.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know how to make that any more simplistic about what we're dealing with here. I mean, the polling shows overwhelmingly on policies Biden is a colossal failure. The polling also shows overwhelmingly people hate Donald Trump.
We're going to have a lot of statistics coming up later in the show about Bidenomics. For example, your electric bill is expected to go up by almost $200 this summer when you turn that AC on.
If the election were fair, that's a huge if. And look, there are some people who have some wacky election theories. When I talk about a fair election, what I'm talking about is there's no way in the state of Pennsylvania anybody has any idea who's filling out those ballots. That's not, I'm not a flat earther. I think we landed on the moon. But there's no way you're going to convince me that the people of Pennsylvania have any idea who's filling out a whole bunch of those ballots, because you're just sending them to people. You're not knowing. There's no verification on who's sending them back. That doesn't make you a conspiracy theorist or a radical right winger. It makes you a common sense individual, which is if you don't have control over who's receiving the ballots and who's filling them out and who's sending them back, then how would you have any idea whether the election is fair or not? And it is probably not fair. So if the election were fair, Trump should win. I think people know what Trump is. I think people knew what Trump was when they voted for him the first time. And I think they voted for Trump the first time because they hated Hillary Clinton even more. This time it'll be, do they hate the condition of the country even more?
Well, I think his resilience really underscores, his appeal, and people look at him as a fighter even more so. But let's talk about the verdict, because there's a lot of people arguing whether the trial was fair. The verdict, according to the CBS News YouGov poll, it said 57% of adults said that the jury reached the correct verdict. The Morning Consult poll said 54% approved of the verdict. And according to ABC News, 50% agreed that the verdict was correct.
Okay, so but when you have a guy, what was Trump's personal approval rating? I bet it was in the low 30s, right?
The same polls say that 55% say it doesn't make a difference.
Exactly. Yeah. That's my point. People know what Trump is. Did Trump cut corners? Yeah, absolutely. However, I think a lot of people also look at it and go, nobody would be prosecuting this guy if he weren't Donald Trump. Did Trump have sex with a porn star? Yeah. Did Trump pay her to be quiet? Yeah. But who cares, right? I mean, everybody already knows that that's what Trump is or was.
Everybody already knows that Trump cut a lot of corners in his life. Look at the people who run this country. This is what's the most hilarious thing to me, is that the people who run this country, I'm talking about the United States Congress, literally do things on a daily basis that if you or I did them, Casey, we would head directly to federal prison. It is insider trading out the wazoo. It is a rigged system where they exempt themselves so that they can do things that nobody else can do, which is why so many of these people walk in regular people and walk out millionaires. And I think the people now are like, well, yeah, Trump's a greaseball, but so are all you people. Who are you to sit in judgment of anyone? You all almost, not quite all, but almost all of you are, a pox in all your houses.
So pretty much what you can extrapolate from all these different polls is that the overall political environment hasn't changed much, with the exception of some swing voters who say, yeah, they think the verdict was correct, but it doesn't matter to them. They're still going to back Trump.
I had a long conversation with somebody who works in government in the city of Indianapolis. And I would describe this person as probably more liberal, moderate or liberal or whatever. They're certainly not like a Trump fan. And we were talking about why this is such a big, why the Trump thing, why people are so upset. Because the person said, wait a second, I thought conservatives hated these politicians, et cetera. And I said, they do. And what we got into in the conversation, we both ultimately agreed on this, which is, I wouldn't shed any tears if we're going to start throwing all these politicians in jail for the crap that they're pulling. If you said, we're throwing the book at everyone and everybody's going down, and it's not only Trump, it's Biden, it's Pelosi, it's all of these people that are pulling this crap, great. The outrage is that you are selectively doing this for solely political reasons, and there will not be similar retribution to the Democrat people who are doing the exact same thing or worse than Trump. If you said we're taking everybody down, it's like the documents case, right? If you said Pence is out and Biden's out, great, take Trump down too. But you can't say that one person has to go to jail and these other people, they're fine.
No, we'll give you a pass. I think what it does do is it sets a precedent for all politicians. For example, and let's bring it back locally, everything that's going on with that Jamie Knoll case.
Sure.
And who knew what and when. Does that open all of those people up to be investigated?
Let me ask you a question about the Knoll thing real quick. So Casey Smith has laid it out in that Capitol Chronicle piece. She did a great job in her interview with us last segment. If you missed it, check out the podcast and hear it. She can't make it any easier. And this is the thing I was shouting about for 6 months, is I can't make this any more clear to you people in the media in this city about what's going on here. You have to go do the work, because if I get within 10 football fields of Holcomb, there's probably some sort of shoot-on-sight order.
Well, she got a written statement back,
but my point is now everybody knows, right? If you're THR, if you're Fox 59, if you're CBS 4, if you're Indy Star, whoever.
Right. Are they all going to get on board now?
Are you guys going to do some actual journalisming and pin the governor down? This is the governor, Casey.
Yeah. Who said he was shocked and stunned.
Yeah. She's made it. And obviously she said, talked about Mike Sodrell and Mike Pence is in the article and Trey Hollingsworth is in the. I mean, Jamie Knoll touched almost every single politician of any sort of relevance in this state, given his position.
Right.
And the most glaring one is, because I don't think, nor would anybody pretend, that most of these politicians, they may have known him or interacted with him. They were not best friends with him. But did I not tell you those photos existed of him and Holcomb? Yeah. And there they were in that article. This has the potential to be the biggest story in the history of this state as it relates to politics and government. Finding out what the governor knew and when, because the prevailing thought from many people is that he knew, and logic would tell you he should have known a hell of a lot more than what he put out in that statement.
Well, and that's what I'm wondering. Is he going to get investigated for any of this?
Well, but even if so often journalism can be the catalyst to the authorities starting to look at something. She laid it out. She couldn't make it any easier. She did all the homework for all these news outlets. Now, will anybody hold the governor accountable?
It is Kendall and Casey. It's 93 WIBC. Good morning.
Are you tired of high cable TV rates? Sign up for Dish today and get a $500 bonus offer while supplies last. Plus, lock in your price for 2 years guaranteed. Call All American Dish, your Dish authorized retailer now.
800-296-1251. 800-296-1251. That's 800-296-1251. Offers require credit qualification, 24-month commitment, early termination fee, and e-auto pay. Restrictions apply. Call for details.
Thinking of popping the question? Diamonds Direct has an offer you can't miss. This month only, buy a natural diamond engagement ring of 1 carat plus and receive a free natural 1 carat diamond tennis bracelet valued at $2,000. Imagine giving her the ring of her dreams and her wedding gift all at once. No one provides education, selection, and value like Diamonds Direct. Your chance to get a free tennis bracelet from your friends at Diamonds Direct won't last long. Details at diamondsdirect.com.
Guys, have a lack of energy, motivation, and drive? It could be low T. Get checked by the experts at Low T Center. They have over a decade of experience helping patients. For established patients, they offer the convenience of physician-monitored at-home testosterone treatments that include both lab testing and self-inject medication.
Need the convenience of at-home treatment? Low T Center makes it easy, shipping treatments directly to your door. LowTCenter.com. Go there right now and book your appointment online. Low T Center, reinventing men's healthcare.
Hey, Pat Sullivan here, letting you know that when you need plumbing help, call who I call, my friends at Hope Plumbing. Not only are they experts in their field who respect the true value of customer service, they also love giving back to this community, which is evident in their referral program. If you refer a friend, Hope Plumbing will give you a $50 gift card to a local restaurant. Great plumbing and supporting local restaurants. What more could you ask for? Visit hopeplumbing.com or give them a call at 641-HOPE.
When you use Bounce dryer sheets and your clothes look amazing, it's the sheet. Less static in your life? Yeah, it's the sheet. Smelling fresher than ever? It's the sheet. Oh, so soft fabric? Ooh la la. It's the sheet. Less wrinkles on your clothes? You know it's the sheet. Bounce dryer sheets. More freshness, more softness. Less static, less wrinkles. It's the sheet.
Coming up in 2 minutes, one step closer. What was said about a soccer stadium at the City County Council last night. Plus, they wanted her off the case, but she's saying no. And this is the farthest this college baseball team has ever made it in the postseason. I'm Kurt Darling. That and more coming up from the Technology Recyclers Studios after Fox News. You're listening to 93 WIBC, WIBC HD1 Indianapolis.
He says he won't be intimidated. I'm Chris Foster, Fox News. Attorney General Merrick Garland this hour is testifying in front of the House Judiciary Committee, the same committee that's recommended holding him in contempt.
Opening statements obtained by Fox News show Attorney General Merrick Garland will refer to the attempts to hold him in contempt of Congress as the, quote, most recent in a long line of attacks on the Justice Department's work. Republicans on the House Judiciary and Oversight Committees voted to hold Garland in contempt of Congress over his refusal to hand over the audio recordings of President Biden's interview with Special Counsel Robert Hur during the DOJ's investigation of the president's mishandling of classified documents. Garland argues handing over the tapes could, quote, harm the integrity of future investigations. On Capitol Hill, Ryan Schmelz, Fox News.
Jurors in the president's son Hunter Biden's federal gun trial in Delaware are hearing opening statements this morning. First Lady Jill Biden's there again as a show of support. President Biden is going after former President Trump's new criminal record.
The presidential campaign is in uncharted territory, President Biden told supporters at a Connecticut fundraiser last night, saying a former president that is a convicted felon is now seeking the office of the presidency. President Biden says more dangerous than that is what he called an all-out assault Donald Trump is making on the American system of justice. It marks a shift in the messaging President Biden is sharing on the campaign trail. He had largely avoided talking about his Republican opponent's trial before the verdict was delivered. President Biden says former President Trump is unhinged and has made clear he is running to exact revenge. At the White House, Jared Halpern, Fox News.
President Biden's expected to sign an executive order today limiting the number of migrants who can apply for asylum at the border. America's listening to Fox News.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
He wants them included. Radar is clear. It is 77 and sunny downtown. I'm Kirk Darling. Here's what's trending at 10:02. Another step closer to a Major League Soccer stadium in Indianapolis, with city leaders approving a new tax district for a stadium. But Councilor Josh Bain has some conditions for his yes vote.
I think it's crucial and very important that the current owners of Indy 11 be given every fair opportunity to be a part of any potential ownership group.
11 Park had been given a similar tax district to build a stadium there last year, but the city backed out of that deal. She's not stepping down. That's the decision from Judge Fran Gull, who is the special judge in charge of the Delphi murder case against Richard Allen. Allen's lawyers filed a motion a few weeks ago calling for Gull to remove herself from the case, and in her public response on Monday, she said no. She's also said that she has lost faith in the media to appropriately cover the case. Detectives in Indy still have some work to do when it comes to clearing all of the current homicides on the docket for the city. Donnie Burgess reports.
Around 35% of homicide cases have been cleared so far this year. That from Indy Metro Police's latest monthly homicide report. Nearly 60 homicides are still sitting in the unsolved category, and that doesn't even count Sunday's fatal shooting at a Canby Walmart. May's monthly report showed homicides are down from last year, but that number was not included or updated in the latest report. You can always help detectives with anything you know by calling Crime Stoppers. Donnie Burgess, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
Some parts of the state may see some thunder and lightning later this afternoon.
Primarily this afternoon into this evening, and then those chances will ramp up again late tonight and into the daytime hours on Wednesday as a cold front moves through the area.
Joe Neild with the National Weather Service. History for the Evansville Purple Aces. UE's baseball team defeated East Carolina in the Greenville Regional of the NCAA tournament on Monday. The win moves them on to the Super Regional for the first time in school history. A best-of-3-game series with Tennessee awaits them in Knoxville. I'm Kirk Darling, on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
Get out fast, get cash, sell your home in a flash. The IndyHomebuyer.com. No inspection, no fuss. We only need to see it once. The IndyHomebuyer.com. Problem properties, tenants don't pay. Just hand us some keys and your problems go away. Get out fast, get cash, sell your home in a flash. The IndyHomebuyer.com. Get out fast, get cash, sell your home in a flash. The IndyHomebuyer.com.
No matter your reason for selling, the IndyHomebuyer.com will pay cash for your house in any condition. If you're dealing with deadbeat tenants, big repairs, or inheritance, the IndyHomebuyer.com is the solution. No hassle, no inspections. The IndyHomebuyer.com.
Get out fast, get cash, sell your home in a flash. The IndyHomebuyer.com. Get out fast, get cash, sell your home in a flash. The IndyHomebuyer.com.
You're listening to Rob Kendall.
When we talk about sending money somewhere, we're talking about printing the money because we have no money.
And Casey Daniels.
My government wothey never lie to me, would they?
On 93 WIBC.
Good morning. It is Tuesday, June 4th, 5 minutes after 10. You're listening to Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC. Well, he testified yesterday at the House Subcommittee hearing about the response to the COVID-19 pandemic. Let me ask you a question. Did you fall in love with Ron DeSantis when he called him a little elf? Is that when it happened for you?
Okay, so you're talking about Fauci.
Yeah.
Right? And so this is my overarching question to the Republicans as a collective is, without a doubt now, even if you don't want to use the term we were lied to, which we were lied to.
Oh, big time.
But even if you want to just live in some sort of fairy tale land where it was the best of intentions, and even though those of us with the best of intentions can make the worst of mistakes, what's the punishment for anybody on any of this who got it all completely wrong?
Well, according to Marjorie Taylor Greene, she wants him to be prosecuted for crimes against humanity.
Well, but look, I'm saying, look, he was the highest paid person in the federal government, right? It came out all this money that these people,
the royalties,
were making off of this.
Mm-hmm.
All of these people ended up with cushy landings. There's no person who went to jail. There's no people that I know that even got fired. The politicians all got reelected. If you're driving down the road right now, think about your job, whatever it is, whether you're a plumber or an executive or all points in between. If you were as bad at your job as those people were during COVID, which is telling us things that didn't work, social distancing, masking, this shot that people were literally losing their jobs over if they didn't get, which were in effect, everything about COVID was wrong. The politicians who backed these people up with the printed money, people like Mike Braun, whose excuse now is, well, everyone else did it too.
Mm-hmm.
How long would you have kept your job if you were as bad at your job during COVID as the people in the federal government, the politicians and the bureaucrats alike? How long would you have kept your job?
Not very long at all. Many people didn't get to keep their jobs when they refused to get the vaccine, which not only was ineffective, but caused harm on some people. So Fauci's talk in front of Congress shows that he really messed up a lot during the pandemic. And it got really contentious. And not only did it get contentious, but then he turned around and he was trying to blame others for his bad guidelines.
What are your 3 steps? What are the 3 steps when you've made a mistake?
Well, you have to admit the wrongdoing, you have to apologize for it, and then take corrective action.
That doesn't sound like he's doing any of those.
No.
He's not even doing one.
No, he's not. He refuses to admit any of his mistakes. Right. Also, he's saying that people were threatening him and his family, and they still do today, which, again, just detracts from his own mistakes. Do you remember? I mean, think about the hypocrisy of this. Do you remember that baseball game where he threw out the first pitch?
Yes.
You weren't allowed to go to that baseball game.
Correct.
You could only watch it on TV, right? And there were cardboard cutouts of people in the stands. What did he do? He was there with people sitting right next to them, the seats directly next to him with his mask pulled down. But you were in big trouble for even thinking about going to that game, and you had to be completely masked up. And think about all the students, like in the band class, that they had in little tents in their own little bubbles, masking all the kids, making them separate, completely ruining any socialization they were going to have.
But again, it rests on us. Because look no further than Indiana if you want to talk about people who aren't punished. Eric Holcomb, now granted, a whole lot, hundreds of thousands of Democrats voted for Holcomb because, well, he is a Democrat. But Eric Holcomb was reelected. You look at the legislature who did nothing to ensure this. The exact same thing could happen again today for the most part in this state, and there would be no recourse. Braun next year could shut the state down. And if you laugh at that, he already bribed states to shut down in 2020, and his excuse on that was everybody else was doing it, so I voted to go along with it. So why would you think he'd be any different? The same thing could happen that happened in 2020 tomorrow, and what would be the recourse?
Well, according to Fauci, during his testimony, he said that we're better prepared for the next one. The next one.
Right.
All of this gain-of-function research that he started, that's where it's coming from.
But we ultimately are to blame for this. I mean, it's easy to look at us and go, Fauci this, and you're right, and Jerome Adams that, and you're right, and Dr. Box kind of gynecologist this, and you're right, and Holcomb that, and you're right. But we keep reelecting the same people. If you keep putting the same people in the same positions, you cannot be angry at them for doing the same thing that they have always done. That is on you. You, the voter, you, the free person, you, the taxpayer. If you're just going to keep voting for the same people, nothing will ever change.
A lot of people are saying that they're glad that this COVID Select Committee is holding the public health institutions and their leaders like Fauci accountable. Really, it's just an opportunity for them to yell at him and say, everything he did wrong. To hold him accountable, there has to be repercussions. There has to be punishment. There has to be something done. And the rep from Ohio, Brad Wenstrup is his name, he got it right. He said during the pandemic, many people were silenced, bullied, or shamed for asking valid questions.
Dr. Fauci, whether intentional or not, you became so powerful that any disagreements the public had with you were forbidden and censored on social and most legacy media time and time again. This is why so many Americans became so angry because this was fundamentally un-American. If I make a mistake, I answer to the people of Ohio who elected me and to my own conscience. When you and your agency made mistakes, Dr. Fauci, what happened? We all need to be held accountable. Sometimes it's as simple as saying, we were wrong. You took the position that you presented the science. Your words came across to so many people as final and as infallible in matters pertaining to the pandemic. But such rigid demands of an ideologically diverse people like Americans shattered public trust in American health institutions. Because I said so has never been good enough for Americans, and it never will be.
Yeah, okay, but time out. So he can sit in judgment of Fauci all he wants, and he should. Fauci's a horrible human being. But the overwhelming majority of Republicans in 2020
went along with it.
Right. They voted to fund all of that COVID money.
Mm-hmm.
This is what people need to understand. I'm not sure it's ever totally registered with people. Had the federal government, so I'm talking about Mike Braun, Todd Young, the overwhelming majority of Hoosier Republicans in the U.S. Congress, and this also then includes Donald Trump. It includes Mike Pence, who is supportive of this. Had they not bribed the states, had they not printed all the money, there's no way the states could have shut down. You cannot blame it. You cannot blame Holcomb without also blaming Mike Braun. You cannot separate the two. You cannot blame Holcomb without also blaming Todd Young. Because without the money that they voted to print, the states would have never been able to shut down. All of these people are equally guilty in this. And I for some reason, and this is why people get mad with me about Trump. Trump was one of the biggest cheerleaders of the shutdown. Trump was one of the biggest cheerleaders of Fauci. Trump had the ability to stop Fauci. And this is what I don't understand, why so many people are just so okay with Trump getting back in there for 4 more years when he hasn't apologized for any of this. He hasn't said what he would do differently. He hasn't said what he would do to ensure it wouldn't happen again. He hasn't even ever said he was wrong about any of this. So why, again, if you keep voting for the same people, why would you think you're going to get any different result?
You're right. House Republicans, they've done nothing to hold Fauci accountable, and they're questioning him, and it's almost like just a big show.
Sure, of course it's a big show.
It's a big show so that they can say, well, look, we finally got to the bottom of things. We finally got the truth. Great. A little too late at this point.
It's all a show because the show makes it so that they don't have to act. And we talk about this all the time, right? We're going to get Joe Biden. Well, if you actually got Joe Biden, then you'd actually have to do action, and they don't want to do action. And this is what the Republicans do every single time. They hold these meaningless hearings. They pass these meaningless bills that have no chance of becoming law. And then when they have a chance to actually do things, like when they have budget issues or they have budget holdups or they have debt ceiling votes where they can leverage that into getting things done, they do nothing because they don't want to actually get anything done. Hey, when we come back.
Yeah.
You were gone when this story broke, but one of the most horrendous serial killers in American history is a guy named Herb Baumeister.
Yeah.
From Westfield / Carmel area, and many people killed. Many of them, I believe, killed on his property, and to this day, they're still identifying.
They're still finding remains.
Yeah, finding remains, identifying bodies. There had recently been a body that was identified off of the Baumeister property. And when we come back, we are going to speak. That property still exists. We're going to speak with a guy named Rob Graves. He owns the Baumeister property.
Yep.
You want to talk about Spook Central.
Owns and lives there.
And he has a very fabulous book about living on that property and about the Baumeister case.
Mm-hmm. We're going to get to it next on 93 WIBC.
Life's certainties. Taxes.
We'll take that. And that's all I had left.
Death. And Indianapolis traffic.
Hey, hon, where are you? Now, you know, sitting on the northeast side, I'm never coming home.
Do less sitting.
I hate traffic.
And do more living.
A long-term ramp closure.
Matt Baird traffic.
Eastbound 465 will be down to 1 lane. Should reopen
mornings and afternoons.
Lane restrictions on the northeast side.
On 93 WIBC.
Transform your home with Galaxy Concrete Coatings. Say goodbye to cracked, stained floors and hello to durable, stunning surfaces that last. Their cutting-edge technology ensures a beautiful finish every time, and you get to pick out from their many colors. Upgrade your home today like I did. Galaxy Concrete Coatings. They're for garage floors, driveways, pool decks, and patios. They come with a lifetime warranty and one-day professional installation. Call now for a free estimate. 877-417-0635. They're also online at galaxyconcretecoatings.com.
The doctor's office that accidentally mixed up your files has your social security number. The power company that mistakenly cut your service has your payment info. And the hotel that lost your reservation has your passport number. You need LifeLock because your personal info is in endless places that can expose you to identity thieves. LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points every second. If your identity is stolen, we'll fix it, guaranteed or your money back. Save up to 40% with promo code NEWS at LifeLock.com. Terms apply.
Up to 50% off on all of our windows and doors, plus 12 months, no payments, no interest. It's our great granddaddy of a sale.
93 WIBC, it is the Kendall and Casey show. I'm Rob. Casey's here. And, Casey, while you were gone, there was a very interesting story in the news that a new body had been identified in the case of Herb Baumeister.
I don't know if that's new and exciting. That's scary and gross.
Did I say new and exciting?
You said something like that.
I said news. That is news. I mean, the point on all of this is it's amazing that this case, even though it was largely, revealed almost 30 years ago now, is still revealing new information and new things are coming out. And in many ways, this, I guess, is a good thing because people are finally getting some closure on who their loved ones are.
Yeah, I mean, this story is just incredible.
Yeah.
All of the remains, and they're still saying that 4 additional DNA profiles have not been identified.
Yeah, so for those of you who don't know, Herb Baumeister, a serial killer who, in the sense of national exposure, doesn't get nearly the exposure that some of the other more infamous ones do. But yet, when you look at what he did, every bit as horrific, located in Westfield. And amazingly, Casey, the property where he lives still exists today. And one of the owners of that property had reached out to me and said, hey, I got some stories for you guys.
I bet he does.
Absolutely. He's actually written a book, a really interesting book. His name is Rob Graves. It's called The Horrors of Fox Hollow Farm, Unraveling the History and Hauntings of a Serial Killer's Home. Rob joins us now on the WIBC hotline. Rob, I'm so curious, first of all, how and why did you decide to buy the Baumeister property?
Well, we've always had horses, and we were looking for a spot in Hamilton County for horses, and my wife ran across it in a multiple listing back in 2006.
Do they have to disclose that to you? At what point do they say, hey, this stuff happened here, you probably should know about that?
Yeah, in Indiana, you actually do not have to disclose a death in a home unless you're asked. But I didn't really know about the history until we actually arrived on the property. Andy, my realtor, he wasn't hiding it. I think he is a friend, and I think he wanted to see my reaction. But when we got to the property, the gate was chained shut, the grass was 4 feet tall, and clearly no one was living here. And at that point, I asked.
So had anybody lived on that property? Obviously, that was 1996. I think that he was, obviously he Baumeister ended up killing himself, but this all got revealed. Had anybody lived on that property in 10 years?
Yes and no. What had happened after he had killed himself, the property actually, he was buying it on contract. It reverted back to the owner that was actually selling it to Baumeister on contract. But they sold it to an investment group. And actually, no one ever really lived here. There was a caretaker that kind of took care of the place marginally, and he was so really no family had lived here.
Did you know anything about this case other than obviously people in central Indiana across the state knew from news reports? But did you have any interest in it? Did you have any knowledge of the case before you bought the property?
I just heard about it on the news. It was always very hard to determine where it actually had taken place. It was very vague, of course, before the internet and things like that, so there wasn't as much information available. but I knew in the general area, and I had heard the story, so I was familiar with it, but didn't follow it.
When you found out, it didn't stop you from purchasing the property?
Well, the first question you have to ask is, how is it going to affect the family? We had two children. They were early teens, but how is that going to affect the kids? And it crossed our minds, certainly, but it was a beautiful property, or is a beautiful property, and we thought, well, if I could get it for a price that I felt I couldn't get hurt, meaning financially, that we would do it.
Rob Graves is our guest. He's the author of the book, The Horrors of Fox Hollow Farm, Unraveling the History and Hauntings of a Serial Killer's Home. So obviously, Rob, we'll get to the book here in just a second, but at what point did you kind of immerse yourself in the Baumeister case? I mean, do you get on this property and go, I guess I better know everything about what happened here? Like, at what point do you start digging into this?
Well, when we first arrived and moved in, we thought, well, we're just going to ignore this and not talk about it, and it'll go away, and the property value will go up, and everybody will walk into the sunset. But I just started being drugged down this other path. Things started turning up. Unfortunately, we've been finding remains for about the last 16 years, and that's really what started it, was finding some remains.
How spooky is that? I mean, you're still, and I'm sure you probably anticipated you would do this, but they're still finding body parts on this property.
Right. It's a large area. About 60% of the property is woods. So what ended up happening was animals drug the remains throughout the woods, because Baumeister really never buried anyone. If you bury something, it pretty much stays in one spot. But he literally just laid them in the woods, and they decomposed quickly in the warm months. And animals drug the remains everywhere. That's why we're still finding them.
What do you do when you become aware of remains? What is your first action?
Well, I usually, when I first found them, you want to call the Hamilton County coroner. He says, can you just take it down to the University of Indianapolis? The University of Indianapolis is the one that handled all of the excavation, all of the anthropology work. And this was the largest case of its type in the U.S. till that point. And it was the only case in the United States handled from start to finish by a forensic anthropologist, which at the time there were only 25 in the country. We just happened to have one at the University of Indianapolis. But I take them down there.
So when you say you take them down there, what, like, seriously, what does that mean? You put it in a garbage bag and throw it in the back of the truck, or what?
No. I usually just wrap it up in paper and take it down. I mean, the largest bone we ever found was a femur, which is, the leg bone, of course, a large bone. But I sign a human remains transmittal form when I get there, and it sort of just changes hands at that point.
Rob Graves is our guest. He lives on the Herb Baumeister property now in Westfield, and it is his book is The Horrors of Fox Hollow Farm, Unraveling the History and Hauntings of a Serial Killer's Home. Why is it that Baumeister, you look at his body count, and it may be markedly bigger than even guys like Gacy, and yet he is not, I mean, people know about him. He sometimes comes up in conversations, but he doesn't seem to get near the national attention that some of these others like BTK or the Night Stalker do. Why is that?
Well, and this is all alleged, because Baumeister was really only questioned one time about this. So it wasn't drugged through the court system. Had this been drugged through, the legal process, it would be more in people's minds. Mm-hmm. But that's really why. He was never – it's only questioned once, and this is all alleged. I mean, the police will tell you that's who did it, but I always have to say alleged.
Yeah, because he was actually never charged with the murders before he died.
Oh, no, absolutely not. Even in Fox News yesterday morning or Sunday morning, under the title of the article about the farm was after his arrest. Well, he was never arrested. He was questioned one time, and that's it.
Let's operate from the standpoint there appears to be an overwhelming amount of evidence that he did do this. How did he get away with it for all this time?
Well, what ended up happening was after the men are missing from Indianapolis, so it's a missing persons case in Indianapolis. But when they find remains in Hamilton County, it's a Hamilton County issue. When they first started finding the remains, he was not around. He was not on the property. The initial thought was this was not recent. They thought it was Indian burial ground was actually the quote from the Hamilton County prosecutor. So there was a real reluctance to believe this was going on in Carmel. I have a Carmel address. And it just, I won't say it wasn't taken seriously, but there was some doubt as to the recentness of the remains.
No, correct me if I'm wrong, Rob, but ultimately, I mean, people kind of found out about this. He had passed it off. His dad was in the medical field. And then did his wife kind of turned him in? They got into a spat, and the wife turned him in. Is that right?
Yes, well, correct. She didn't actually turn him in. What ended up happening was her son had found a skeleton, a complete skeleton in the woods behind the house in 1994. He very quickly dismissed that as his father's, an anatomical skeleton. His father was an anesthesiologist at Methodist. The police actually told me there was a skeleton in the garage, an anatomical, articulated medical skeleton, but that was sort of always in the back of her mind. So between 94 and 96, she had filed for divorce. The businesses were failing, and the businesses were known as Save-A-Lot, not the grocery stores. They were thrift stores like Goodwill.
Right.
And there was one in Castleton and one on West Washington Street. But she, and this is all, it's sort of secondhand, she felt that maybe if she didn't start cooperating, she could be implicated. So she called her lawyer and said, I'd like to talk to the police. And at that point, the Hamilton County Sheriff comes to the property. And at that point, she tells them, I did find a skeleton in 1994. They said, show us where you found it. They go out in the back in the woods, about 100 feet off the back of the house. And she said it was right here. And they looked around, there were bones and teeth everywhere.
Do you have any communication with his ex-wife or child?
I do not. I have met her son, but no. I've never spoken to her.
Before we let you go, Rob, tell us about your book, The Horrors of Fox Hollow Farm.
Well, I was approached about, 8 years ago by another author, and he wanted to do a story. And I said, look, I'll be glad to participate, but I'm more interested in the case. So I did the factual part of the case of the book.
And why should somebody pick this book up?
Well, I have tried to set the record straight. So all the facts in there should be correct. There is a lot of bad information on the case, and I've tried as hard as I could to get the facts correct. So at least it'll be a correct narrative.
Yeah. Do you get any weird vibes when you're walking around the property?
No, it's been so long now. It's just home to us. I can honestly, if no one asks me about it, I don't think about it. Yeah. I can go in the woods and
it's amazing.
Never even crosses my mind.
Yeah.
Rob, this has been a fascinating conversation, man. Thank you very much. And it's a great book. And man, thanks for spending a few minutes with us.
Sure, you're welcome.
You're listening to Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
Retaliation. Radar is clear. It is 78 and sunny downtown. I'm Kirk Darling. Here's what's trending at 10:30. Some GOP lawmakers plan to make their feelings known in Congress on how they feel about Donald Trump's conviction. Fox's Ryan Schmelz.
8 Republican senators claiming the White House has, quote, made a mockery of the rule of law. A letter obtained by Fox News shows those senators will not allow any increases in non-security related funding or vote for any of President Biden's judicial nominees. A Manhattan jury found former President Trump guilty on 34 felony counts related to hush money payments made to adult film star Stormy Daniels. On Capitol Hill, Ryan Schmelz, Fox News.
Meanwhile, opening statements are underway in Hunter Biden's federal firearms case. 12 jurors and 4 alternates were selected in a Delaware courtroom on Monday. The president's son is accused of illegally buying and possessing a gun while being addicted to drugs in 2018. I'm Kirk Darling, on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
When you use Bounce dryer sheets and your clothes look amazing, it's the sheet. Less static in your life? Yeah, it's the sheet. Smelling fresher than ever? It's the sheet. Oh, so soft fabric? Ooh la la. It's the sheet. Less wrinkles on your clothes? You know it's the sheet. Bounce dryer sheets. More freshness, more softness. Less static, less wrinkles. It's the sheet.
Terry Stacy here. Honey Baked Ham isn't just for the holidays. Stop in for lunch and choose from handcrafted sandwiches, salads, soups, and more. Or take home a heat and serve family meal that comes with a home-style main dish, sides, and rolls. Perfect for a busy weekend night and better than fast food. Have a special event this spring? Let Honey Baked cater with sandwich trays or a VIP buffet with all the extras. Honey Baked on West 96th Street in Indy or Greyhound Pass in Carmel makes it easy to serve something special any day of the year.
Your bathroom is boring and basic too. It seems like there's nothing you can do. A better bath awaits. You'll feel brand new, relaxing in a world of peace at the Bath Authority.
Hey, it's Rob. Right now, schedule your free at-home estimate and get free installation on your new shower or bath. Plus 36 months of interest-free financing. Restrictions apply. A better bath awaits.
You're our priority at the Bath Authority.
Seasons change. Why not your tech? Upgrade now during the Dell Technologies Summer Sale event and save on select PCs like the XPS 16 powered by Intel Core processors. You'll be able to bring your most intensive projects to life with built-in AI, minimalistic design, immersive visuals, and cinematic audio. When you shop online at Dell.com/deals, you'll have access to exceptional tech and electronics plus free shipping on everything. Amazing prices await you for a limited time only at Dell.com/deals. That's Dell.com/deals.
It's the first day of the first grade, and she found a new best friend. It's a laid-back Sunday afternoon you wish would never end.
The homemade taste of Bluebell and good friends gathered round. The good old days are being made right now.
Grab a frosty mug and try the newest flavor from Bluebell, A&W Root Beer Float Ice Cream. A creamy vanilla-flavored ice cream swirled together with an A&W Root Beer flavored sherbet. A new way to enjoy your favorite root beer float.
The good old days are being made right now.
The good old days are being made right now.
Look for Bluebell ice cream at your local grocer and pick up your favorite flavor today.
You're listening to the Kendall and Casey Show on 93 WIBC. It's time to hear from you. Kendall and Casey present Voicemails. Brought to you by QC Kinetics for non-surgical regenerative medicine treatment at 317-559-PAIN.
Here we go with your voicemails at 317-684-8444. It is Kendall and Casey. It's 93 WIBC. Our first phone call. We've got a couple phone calls, a couple political, and then one about concerts. But this first one is a question for you, Rob, about being a precinct committee member.
Rob, my son has submitted my name for precinct committee man down in District 23 here on the south side. I'm having second thoughts about this. Can you please explain on the air for anybody that might be interested or disinterested in taking a position like that, just what is involved and how much political trouble we may get ourselves into depending on our political views of the Republican Party? Just like to know. We'll listen to your answer on the air and tell me if I should run real quickly or if I can stay. Thanks a lot, Rob. Enjoy listening to you guys. Now I need some political advice, and I know the authority. Take care. Have a good one.
Well, as a former precinct committeeman myself, Casey, I feel I'm uniquely qualified to answer Tom's question. So this is a position. It is voted on every 4 years by people on your primary ballot. Oftentimes they are uncontested positions, but every so often you get one. It's based on where you live, and up until recently, the precinct committeeman's primary job was to staff the polling positions. So if you would remember, before vote centers became a thing, hey, there's 93, locations and 7 people show up to vote at each one of them. And the precinct committeemen had their own polling location. Your job was to get a clerk and a judge and whatever the other one's called. There were generally 3 people, and you had to get the ones from your party. And then the Democrat would get the ones from their party. And then each side had 2 reps, and people were there, and everybody keeps an eye on each other during Election Day. Now, due to vote centers, I think that position is largely the primary function now would be you will vote on the replacement of elected officials. So, great example. Coming up in June, they're going to replace the deceased person who smoked the pants off Gabe Whitley in that primary for U.S. Congress. She obviously can't run in the general election as she is deceased. And so the precinct committeemen will show up and get together, and they will select, based on the people who live in the 7th Congressional District, the person to take the deceased person's place who smoked the pants off Gabe Whitley, who will replace her on the ballot. So that is largely the primary function now, is to conduct elections of replaced officials.
His question was, should he run
Absolutely.
or should he get involved?
Absolutely.
No, his question was, should he run away?
Oh, no. Absolutely should be involved. Everybody should try to get involved at some point or another. You need more good people. You need people outside of the system. Absolutely, you should do that. That's a very minimal time. It takes up minimal time, and there is some level of importance to it, as we'll find out when they replace that person for the right to get their ass kicked by Andre Carson.
That's the great thing about our show. We're here to educate and entertain, and you did a fantastic job of educating.
Thank you.
And it is Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC. Here's a call. Somebody wants to give us a hot take on morality and Donald Trump.
Hey, here's a quick hot take on Trump and why the adultery stuff no one cares about. The irony is that's what the left has created. If you go back to Sex and the City shows, all the stuff that they've done over the past 30 years has been to make morality mean nothing. And now they're trying to play a morality card when they've already taught half the public it's meaningless. So I find that pretty interesting and ironic that the left has done what they've done to themselves.
Yeah, they're eating their own, right?
Well, they don't actually care that he had sex with a porn star, that he paid a porn star. They feel they can use that
against him.
Yeah.
One more call. We got into a conversation about concerts and how people aren't going to them anymore.
Correct.
And we pinpointed a big part of it on the price tag for the tickets. But here's another reason why people are not going to shows.
Yeah, hi. One of the reasons why I'm going to the concerts these days is because of the use of pitch correction and lip syncing. The Eagles have recently proved that Don Henley is lip syncing songs like Desperado, and the pitch correction may be something that the younger audiences like to hear as a new addition to the sound of today's music, but for me, I think it's called cheating. That's all. Appreciate the show. Bye.
He wants to hear him even when they're off key.
He's not wrong.
Yeah, I thought it was a really good point. And you've got something going on with your musical icon.
Well, do we want to take a break? I mean, I think this is pretty important. It's a big anniversary in my house.
You need to get prepared for it, huh?
I just thought we might want to just kind of gear up. And I mean, something very, very important, not just in my house, but in the universe happened.
Okay.
40 years ago today.
Yeah.
Hammer is out today. So I thought, maybe when we come back, we could talk about this very important event 40 years ago in American history.
All right. We'll do that coming up on 93 WIBC.
Coming up on Tony Katz today, 11 NFL teams are not interested in celebrating Pride Month. Has the tide turned on just not being forced to do what you don't want to do? That's after the news at noon on 93 WIBC.
Hey guys, it's Rob from my friends at Universal Windows Direct, and what an incredible deal going on right now with Universal Windows Direct. You call today, 317-659-7574, 317-659-7574. And for every 2 windows you buy, you're going to get the next 2 free. There's no limit on that. Plus, Universal Windows Direct backs up their work with a true lifetime warranty. That's for as long as you own the home, and a 20-year warranty to the next homeowner. What a marketing tool if you're going to sell your home in the future. But call today, 317-659-7574. Schedule your free in-home estimate. For every 2 windows you buy, you're going to get the next 2 free, plus 0% financing for 36 months. That's right, that's 3 years. Now, again, some restrictions apply. So call Universal Windows Direct today to get all the information, 317-659-7574, or head over to their website, uwd.com, uwd.com. Universal Windows Direct. Tell them Rob sent you.
Whatever happened to Tony Horton, the guy who created the revolutionary P90X?
2017, I was knocked down. A very rare type of shingles that went straight into my brain. My body was completely wasting away. I started researching everything related to building my muscle back again. That's when I learned about the potential of HMB plus vitamin D3 and what they can do when it comes to helping build new muscle.
So Tony developed high-impact protein by Power Life.
Just add 1 scoop of high-impact protein to a glass of water or your morning smoothie and enjoy the effects of that boss molecule and factory worker combination. Reshaping your body each and every day. More energy, burn more fat, and probably drop a few pounds along the way.
High-impact protein by Power Life is a tasty once-a-day powder that comes in either whey or plant protein. Go to mypowerlife.com and use code TONE to save 30%. Tony even offers a 90-day guarantee. Go to mypowerlife.com or text TONE to 511-511. Text TONE to 511-511 today. All individuals are unique. Your results can and will vary. These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Tax fees may apply.
Sinus pain. You know it all too well. It's constant. It's frustrating. The pressure, the headaches, the snoring, the constant clogged feeling. You're tired of feeling like this, but you've tried nasal sprays, over-the-counter medicines, even home remedies. No matter what you try, nothing gives you lasting sinus relief. You're tired of missing out and feeling miserable. There is something you can do. Something different. Indianapolis Sinus Center. The physicians at Indianapolis Sinus Center have been serving the community with proven treatments for over 50 years. They know what you're going through, and they're standing by ready to offer you the best treatments to provide long-term relief. Breathe better. You don't have to keep suffering from sinus pain. Call Indianapolis Sinus Center today at 317-528-9650 and take the first step toward relief. 317-528-9650. That's 317-528-9650 or go to IndianapolisSinusCenter.com.
Hey, Pat Sullivan here, letting you know that Hope Plumbing is bringing back an amazing offer. For a limited time, Hope Plumbing will buy back your old water heater for $1,000 with the installation of a tankless water heater. So if having endless hot showers and saving money on your gas bill is on your summer to-do list, call my friends at Hope Plumbing and get your tankless water heater installed today. HopePlumbing.com.
With T-Mobile, you can get tons of benefits and still save. It's like getting romance and sci-fi.
I love you. Also, I'm a robot.
With T-Mobile, you can save on every plan versus AT&T and Verizon. See how with our savings calculator at T-Mobile.com/switch. Plus, we'll pay off your locked AT&T phone up to $650 and you'll get a new 5G phone for free.
Pay out via virtual prepaid card in 15 days. Free phone up to $830 via 24 monthly bill credits with qualifying planning credit plus tax and $35 connection charge. Contact us before canceling to continue bill credits or they stop and required finance agreement balances due. See T-Mobile.com.
When you use Bounce dryer sheets and your clothes look amazing, it's the sheet. Less static in your life? Yeah, it's the sheet. Smelling fresher than ever? It's the sheet. Oh, so soft fabric? Ooh la la. It's the sheet. Less wrinkles on your clothes? You know it's the sheet. Bounce dryer sheets. More freshness, more softness. Less static, less wrinkles. It's the sheet.
You want to listen all day to WIBC, but you don't always have time. Don't worry. There's a podcast for that. The WIBC Mashup. Daily highlights from your favorite hosts, Tony Katz, Kendall and Casey, and Hammer and Nigel. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.
So it's an album that touches on themes of the American experience, addressing issues such as the working class struggles and also the disenchantment of Vietnam War veterans.
Better known as my childhood.
Yeah, many people misunderstood the title track, and it's celebrating an anniversary today. The same day that you were born, Rob Kendall.
Not the same day.
Well, same year.
Same
year.
That would be pretty sweet. Yes, it's the 40th anniversary of Born in the USA, an album that changed my life and the lives of many, many people. Sold 30 million copies worldwide, Casey.
I remember I was 14 when the album came out, and I remember my older sister bringing it home, and it actually was an album.
Yeah.
And she was, look at him. Isn't he cute? And I just remember staring at the cover. Of course, if you're familiar with the cover, it's his backside, and he's got baseball caps sticking out, and it's all worn. And I thought, who's that old guy?
Well, it's interesting. It's an incredible story, right? Because he was this largely kind of forgotten guy. He'd done this incredible album with Born to Run, 10 years before. And then he had success on the coast, but was largely becoming this rock relic. And he had this incredible archive of songs. And they basically told him, kind of his management, like, you got to do something or you're running the risk of being dropped from your record label. And he's like, well, I got this incredible group of songs, and even though they don't really fit on an album, we'll put them together. And they did, and he had 7 top 10 hits, and 3.9 million people saw that tour worldwide. They grossed about $90 million on that tour in 1984 and 85, which is like a bajillion dollars. I don't know what that translates into today. But, man, I mean, you want to talk about when you think of the 1980s, it's Thriller and it's Born in the USA, right? I mean, it's kind of the 1A and 1B. And obviously Thriller sold a lot more albums. Michael Jackson was bigger. But, man, what an album. And it was sort of that and the Scarecrow album by John Mellencamp were sort of the last of the great rock albums, sort of those like life-changing rock and roll albums. And, 40 years.
So let's see. On side 1, you had Born in the USA and Cover Me, and also I'm on Fire for hits. And then on side 2, when you flip that platter over, you've got Glory Days, Dancing in the Dark, and My Hometown. And also I'm Going Down. So Dancing in the Dark wasn't even going to be on that Born in the USA album until the producer insisted on including it because he wanted to ensure the album's commercial success, because that was the poppiest of all of the songs. He wanted to make sure it got radio play.
I heard him do an interview one time, and this is amazing, and Kevin will back me up on this, because, and I'm not just talking about like Bruce Springsteen, I'm talking about these great, the upper echelon of singer-songwriters. I heard him do an interview one time, because one of the knocks on Springsteen is he wrote albums, he didn't write singles. And if you look at his single success, certainly outside of Born in the USA, while he has many, many #1 albums, the singles are simply not there because he wrote albums, not singles. And he kind of said in this interview one time, he said, singles are boring. And they asked him about Dancing in the Dark, and he goes, I wrote that in like 15 minutes on a napkin. He's like, I could write those all day, every day. And I remember being floored at that, to have the ability to, in 15 minutes, write something that is universally 40 years later still beloved and all of these people enjoyed, and yet have no desire to actually do that, because that's not a challenge. You're that good at something. And you see this a lot of times with artists where it's just like, I want to do something that's a challenge to me, not something that comes easy, even if it's commercially far more viable.
Yeah, I feel like it takes a lot more effort to write a concept album.
Yeah.
I feel like that's what he was going for.
A lot of people misunderstand Born in the USA. They think it's like a pro-American. It's something you hear on 4th of July. But that's not it at all.
No, it's actually a song about a Vietnam soldier and returning home, and the way those people were treated. And this is one of the things about Bruce that I really love is, and look, the guy's worth $1 billion. So this is not some Cry for Me Argentina type of story here. But the prime Springsteen and much of his wealth came off of this endeavor and then the things that would come after. It's where he sort of adopted that boss persona, and he went from playing 10,000-seat arenas to 30 or 40,000 person stadiums. But he wrote about people who were forgotten, and he wrote about them in a way that nobody else, if they remembered them, was even capable of doing. And the Vietnam soldier, and it's so crazy now, because rightfully so, we pay tribute to our soldiers and people who gave to this country. And the Vietnam soldier didn't go of their own volition, right? They didn't go because they wanted to. They went because they were required to by their country. And many, 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 many Vietnam soldiers didn't sign up voluntarily. They were taken by force.
Their birthdays were announced on live TV if they were going to be selected.
And if you think about that, those people went out of obligation, many of them against their own will, but still did it to the best of their ability. And the way they were treated when they came home, we're almost 50 years removed from that now. But the way those people were treated, and this was only 10 years after that, these people were still not, in many cases,
embraced,
celebrated members of society as they should have been. And this was the song for them, right? Like, you went against your will in many cases. You didn't go of your own volition. You still did it to the best of your ability. And then when you came home, you were totally disregarded by your country. And this was sort of like the first time somebody stood up for them and said, no, wait a second. These are people too, and they really matter, and here's their story.
Yeah, a lot of people misunderstand and think that the song Born in the USA is a celebration of America, when actually you're right. It's very critical. But if you think about it in those terms, isn't that exactly what USA is? It's the ability to be critical of your country.
So Hammer wasn't going to be here for this segment, so I just told Casey I'm hijacking this segment, and thank you
curious,
for allowing me to indulge in that.
Because that album, Born in the USA, came out in 1984, 40 years today, and in fact, you weren't even born yet.
I was born, Casey.
No, I thought your birthday was in December.
The last day of 1983. I am 40 years old.
Okay, so how did you...
Good grief, woman. We worked together for 2.5 years, and we're still going over this.
Why did you latch on to him? Because he had already had some success long before you even knew what music was.
Yeah, I tell this story quite a bit. I went through a kind of like I had a buddy who's no longer with us. He passed away several years ago. My dear friend Paul Wilson, who used to describe Bruce Springsteen as like the voice from above. Paul was much older than I was. He saw Bruce in like the Darkness tour and the River tour, and he always used to say it's like the narrator of your life. And I don't even know how I found his music, but you start diving into like the Darkness on the Edge of Town album and the River album. And I found that music at a very rough point in my own life. And it was like, I used to listen to these songs and go, my God, how did he know that I felt that way about things? Like, how did he know that I was feeling these things and experiencing these things? And I say this, and it seems silly as you get older, but it's like, I credit Darkness on the Edge of Town. I used to listen to that album all night long, just over and over and over. And I credit that album for me in many ways still being here and being the person I am, because it was like the music of, you keep going, man. There's a brighter horizon around the corner. You keep going. And I credit a lot of that for being here today.
Yeah, you're not alone. Many people find salvation in music.
Yeah.
It is Kendall and Casey. It's 93 WIBC. And you remember last week that viral guy, the man who showed up to his Zoom hearing for a suspended driver's license while he was driving his car.
So this is crazy. This guy, many people I'm sure have seen this, but he was scheduled to appear in front of a judge over related to his license being suspended. He, as many people do now, it's more commonplace, was granted a virtual hearing apparently of some sort. And he's in an automobile, driving the automobile while he's appearing in front of the judge.
Yep, we got the recap. Here it is.
You stationary?
I'm pulling in right now at this second. Yes, I am.
All right. What are we doing?
Your Honor, we are respectfully requesting an adjournment in this matter, up possibly 2 to 4 weeks if the court would allow.
So maybe I don't understand something. This is a driving while license suspended?
That is correct, Your Honor.
And he was just driving. And he didn't have a license.
Yeah. That is what the charge is, Your Honor, yes.
No, I'm looking at his record. He doesn't have a license. He's suspended and he's just driving.
That is correct, Your Honor.
That's correct, Your Honor. The judge was pretty calm about it. Wait a minute, what's going on here?
My favorite part, though, was the look on that guy's face when the judge is saying this stuff out loud. Like, it is though someone had, I don't even, like, caught him crapping his pants on live television or something. I mean, he was... Now, it turns out, right? Like
there's a reason he looks surprised.
Right?
Because here's the rest of the story. He actually didn't have a suspended license. There was a clerical error that it should have been resolved 2 years before.
Yeah. So he was not in the wrong. He was allowed to drive an automobile. And this poor guy obviously he was all over Twitter and the internet of these videos of this guy. And it turns out he really wasn't even doing anything wrong at all.
So I'm curious if he,
at least as it relates to driving.
Right. At least in that. But I'm wondering if he made in contact with whoever was supposed to file the clearance of his suspended license and gave him a piece of his mind.
This is an example of where government can totally mess you up if it so desires. Because think about it, as it at least relates to his driving. The guy did nothing wrong. He was obeying all applicable standards. He had apparently got that driver's license reinstated, and he's on time for his Zoom hearing. And the poor guy becomes a giant joke on the internet. And he'll forever be that, even though, because like people are going to be posting this for years to come. Man looks on in awe as he's caught red-handed, or whatever the description's going to be. There won't be some preface of, here's this guy who was wrongfully accused and he didn't do anything wrong.
Nope, he did nothing wrong. Have you ever had a suspended license?
I have not, Casey. I did, however, just send in my very sizable check for the privilege of driving an automobile to the state of Indiana. Boy, you want to talk about theft from the Republicans? See your license plate or whatever that thing's called.
It is Kendall and Casey. It's 93 WIBC.
Today, filing for Social Security isn't just about your benefits. No way. The decision could also have a huge impact on your taxes, your IRA and 401k withdrawals, even your Medicare premiums. And if you don't consider these things when you file for your benefits, it could needlessly cost you a small fortune. Learn how you could wring every nickel out of your benefits with a free Social Security analysis from Bill Demery, your retirement guy right here in Indy.
If you've saved more than $200,000 for retirement and have not filed for Social Security, schedule your free analysis right now by calling Bill Demery, 317-648-5120. Bill simplifies the decision for you and helps ensure you get every nickel out of your benefits. Get that free analysis right now by calling 317-648-5120. 317-648-5120.
Are you feeling jitters from the potential impact the election could have on your financial future? With so much news about how your investments could be impacted, it's hard to feel confident your portfolio is built to withstand it all. Let Creative Planning help you evaluate your portfolio for election readiness. Go to creativeplanning.com/radio and request your free election readiness review. When you have the right plan and portfolio, you don't have to fear the election. Act now. This offer is only good till Monday at midnight. creativeplanning.com/radio.
You can host the best backyard barbecue when you find a professional on Angie to make your backyard the best around. Connect with skilled professionals to get all your home projects done well. Inside to outside, repairs to renovations. Get started on the Angie app or visit Angie.com today. You can do this when you Angie that.
Up to 50% off on all of our windows and doors, plus 12 months, no payments, no interest. It's our great granddaddy of a sale.
Coming up in 2 minutes, why some counselors are saying no to a second tax district for a soccer stadium. Plus, Ryan Hedrick tells you about a cop who was assaulted by a homeless man. And it's the start of mandatory minicamp for the Indianapolis Colts. I'm Kurt Darling. That and more coming up from the Technology Recyclers Studios after Fox News Radio at the top of the hour. You're listening to 93 WIBC at WIBC HD1 Indianapolis. It's 11 o'clock.
Facing it head on, I'm Chris Foster. Fox News Attorney General Merrick Garland, accused of politicizing and weaponizing the Justice Department, says he defends the department's independence from improper influence or interference of any kind and tells the House Judiciary Committee he had nothing to do with former President Trump's prosecution and conviction in New York.
I don't need a history lesson.
Well, I'm going to say again, we do not control those offices. They make their own decisions.
The question is whether you communicate with them, not whether you control them. Do you communicate with them, and will you provide those communications?
You make a request. We'll refer it to our Office of Legislative Affairs.
Attorney General Garland with Florida Republican Matt Gaetz there. At 2 p.m. Eastern, President Biden plans to announce executive orders on immigration meant to cut down on the number of people trying to come in seeking asylum.
For 3 years, we have watched President Biden
push on a door that has been clearly marked full.
Louisiana Senate Republican John Kennedy says the president's only issuing the order because voters don't like him on border security. Ahead of opening statements at Hunter Biden's federal gun trial in Delaware, jurors been dismissed, saying serving would present a financial hardship. Opening statements are this morning. A third of the hostages held by Hamas are already dead, according to the government of Israel.
The official estimate is that Hamas still holds 120 people captive, but 43 have been declared dead in absentia. Palestinian militants took around 250 hostages into Gaza during their massacre of October 7th last year. Israeli officials based their tally on intelligence tip-offs, video evidence and forensic analysis. Meanwhile, the families of 8 Americans kidnapped by Hamas are on Capitol Hill for a bipartisan meeting about efforts to get them released.
That's Fox's Jonathan Savage. The world's #1 men's tennis player, Novak Djokovic, has dropped out of the French Open with a knee injury. America's listening to Fox News.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
He's not convinced. 81 and sunny downtown, a clear radar for now. I'm Kirk Darling. Here's what's trending at 11:02. The city approving a tax district for the new soccer-specific stadium to be built for MLS. The City County Council voting 16-8 last night on the measure. Councilor Jesse Brown voting against it.
I've never in my life had a situation where somebody asked me to sign on the dotted line today, or else I'd miss this great opportunity, and for that not to be a scam.
It now needs approval from state lawmakers. The city will submit the proposal to the state budget committee. Dozens of criminal homicides in Indianapolis are still unsolved.
And you can help police with that number. I'm Donnie Burgess. Nearly 60 homicides are still unsolved, says Indy Metro Police. Anything can help, such as eyewitness statements, camera footage, or anonymous tips through Crime Stoppers. IMPD says it's managed to clear over 36 homicide cases that were left over from last year. Donnie Burgess, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
A guy who has a track record of being violent towards cops is in trouble once again. Ryan Hedrick explains.
Jonathan Reinhardt is a homeless man in Indianapolis. 4 years ago, he was convicted of throwing bodily waste on a cop. This week, he flagged down an Indy Metro cop to tell him about a person driving a car who was harassing him. As the cop took the report, Reinhardt pulled a sock full of glass out of his pocket and hit the cop in the neck with it. Reinhardt was arrested, and the cop was treated at the scene and released. Ryan Hedrick, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
More of the same for former Clark County Sheriff Jamie Knoll. Investigators say they have more evidence of fraud and money laundering on his part. So prosecutors are adding 6 new charges to the list of now 31 that he faces. He's accused of stealing money from the county and spending it on himself in several different ways. Positive steps for Colts quarterback Anthony Richardson.
It feels good. It feels normal. I'm just trying to keep it working.
Talking about his injured shoulder from last season. Colts mandatory minicamp starting today. I'm Kirk Darling, on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
It is more important than ever to hire the right agent to sell your home to maximize its sales price. That is why I recommend Mark Dietl. Mark and his team have the plan and experience to sell your home fast for maximum cash. Maybe you're worried about costly repairs or upgrades to sell your home. Mark Dietl guarantees your home sold at a mutually agreed upon price and deadline, or he will buy it. Listen to what Jim and Jean in Whitestown had to say about working with Mark Dietl. Our 18-acre horse farm was a lot to manage, and we were ready to downsize. But selling a horse farm is unique. It takes the right agent and the right buyer, so we hired Mark Dietl. Mark aggressively marketed the property and found the right buyer with a super quick close. Call the local Indianapolis agent I trust and recommend, and the agent who guarantees your home sold or he'll buy it. Call Mark Dietl, 317-755-4232 for all the details, or go online to markdietl.com. That's Mark, DIETEL.com.
You're listening to Rob Kendall.
When we talk about sending money somewhere, we're talking about printing the money because we have no money.
And Casey Daniels.
My government would never lie to me, would they?
On 93 WIBC.
Good morning. It is Tuesday, June 4th, 5 minutes after 11 with Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC. So many consumers finding it hard to keep up with their bills. To that point, 37% of Americans have been charged a late fee on a bill in the past 12 months. This is according to a new report from NerdWallet. Credit card late fees are the most common, with 21% of the people in this survey saying that they have incurred at least one. Other people have been charged late fees on utility bills and also rent.
I assume I'm the only person left in this room that still pays all their bills by hand.
Yeah.
You probably do some sort of
online
something.
Yeah.
Kevin, do you even pay bills? I don't know. Is that even a thing that you do?
I pay some bills.
Do you do a direct whatever they call that? Not direct
Yeah,
deposit,
I just pay on the website.
Withdraw. Do you have yours set up where it's the same day?
It's a mix of both. Some are automatic payments. Some I wait till I get the bill in the mail and then I go on the website and boop, boop, boop.
Yeah, that's what I do.
I would say then that, and I think majority of people would be in your shoes where they do this on the computer. So I would say that is probably an indictment of their actual financial situation. If you have something to be set up to be taken out at a certain time each month and you still pay a bill late, you'd have to do that intentionally then.
Mm-hmm. Well, what are you saying? You said it's an indictment on how I'm paying my
No,
bills?
not you. I'm saying most people. Listen, lady, you're not listening to what I'm telling you. You don't even know what year I'm born, and we've worked together for 2.5 years.
It's true.
So listen to me.
Okay.
I'm saying it's an indictment on the financial institution of this country, the financial makeup of this country, that if people are paying their bills the way you're paying them, not you paying them. I'm not indicting you. I'm saying if people are paying them the way you're paying them, in which you're saying, hey, on the 13th of each month, you're going to withdraw $73 from my electric bill.
Right.
And they're not paying them on time, they would have to deliberately not do that, or they would have to not be capable of making the payment, which means they try to take the money out and the money's not there. Good gosh, am I just talking to myself around here? You're getting as bad as some of these listeners.
It's about how the government's economic plans aren't helping regular folks is what it is. If they're having all of these late fees and they can't pay a monthly bill, that's the problem. It's not how they're paying it. It's the fact that they can't afford to pay it.
Yes. Thank you. That was what I was getting at.
Oh, okay.
I literally, oh my gosh. Shall we replay the last 2 minutes of my life? I literally said this is an indictment of the makeup of the financial, I don't even remember what word I used, but I thought it was abundantly clear that I was saying it is the makeup of the financial condition of the people in this country. And you're like, so you're saying they don't have the ability to pay? Yes, lady, that's what I'm saying. They don't have the ability to pay.
Something that's going to be going up that may not surprise a lot of people is the increase in the electric bill. This year, it's expected to be on average $719, an increase of nearly 30%.
An increase of $719?
No, it's an increase of 30%.
Oh,
the average.
That's the average of what they pay.
Yeah, going up to $719.
Do you have all electric or are you a mixture?
We're a mixture. We're a mixture. Yeah.
I've only lived in one place where I had all of electric. One of the first, I think the first apartment I ever lived in had all electric, and I've never had all electric ever since. That amazes me that every other place has not been one or the other, because I grew up in a house that was all electric.
Well, don't the utilities make a big portion of their money on the grid?
They make a big portion of their money on screwing the American consumer. That's what they make their money on.
Yep. And the Biden administration keeps, promoting the renewable energy, which would require a whole new infrastructure.
Right, absolutely.
So the price just will continue to go up.
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah. Another thing that is to take note of is
what do you leave your house at? What do you leave your in the summer and the winter, what do you leave your house at? What is the temperature of your home?
It varies. During the day, it can get up to 70, 71, but then at night, I turn it down because I don't want to be hot and sweaty when I'm sleeping.
Doesn't that sort of defeat the purpose then if you've got if your air conditioning has to work extra hard to get your temperature down to a certain number, or isn't it sort of the same thing because isn't it having to work extra hard?
Turning it on, and it would be smarter to keep it lower throughout the day?
Right, like what do you turn it down to at night?
68, sometimes 67.
That's not too much. But I'm saying, wouldn't it be better for you just to leave it as a stagnant 69 all day?
Right, somewhere in the middle.
A nice
and then
round
I wouldn't
number.
have to work as hard.
Right. I don't know. I'm asking.
Possibly, but it's one of those things where it's that programmable thermostat.
A what? Tell me how the rich people live. Tell me all about this.
You can hook it up to Wi-Fi on your phone, and at some point we lost power, and it messed up the programming on the Wi-Fi, so now it does its own thing.
What are you even? I just felt like you just spoke a bunch of Chinese to me. You did what with
Your
who?
thermostat's not hooked up to your phone? You can't, like, change...
Do I look like the sort of person that has my thermostat hooked up to my phone,
Do you know
Casey?
what I'm talking about, Kevin?
I've actually never heard of that.
Tell us. I now need to know more.
Seriously?
Tell me about how you rich people are living.
I'm kind of curious about it.
thermostat.
I'd like to get this.
Yeah,
So you can get on your phone and
yes,
tell
and
your...
adjust the temperature of the house.
it's an app?
Yes.
You just log in?
Yes.
Does that like cause problems between you and your family members? Like people are just on their own phones changing the temperature?
No, because we normally have it set at a we used to have it set at a standard level, right? But then something happened, and this is, I guess, part of the problem, right? With having it set up with an app. Something happened, and now it's got a brain of its own, and we got to go in and reprogram it.
It'll just adjust itself?
It does just adjust itself.
This may be a simple question, but have you tried deleting the app?
Yes, and re-downloading.
And it didn't work?
Yeah, no, it didn't work.
Have you tried calling the company
no,
and finding out?
I haven't. I don't know if the dude has or not, but that's one of the neat things with technology, and that's why we have to manually go down and click it down every night.
One of, look, marriage is a blessing, depending on who you're married to, and having children is a blessing most of the time.
Yeah.
But one of the downfalls is I can no longer play the same fun economic games I used to play with myself when I was single. So every year I would play a game with myself on how long into the calendar year I could go without turning the air conditioning on. And one year I made it into June without turning the air conditioning on. And I can remember it being something like 80 degrees in my house and crawling out to the patio for relief. And then I thought, it's probably time to turn the air conditioning on. But every year I used to play a little game with myself on how long I could wait before I would turn the air conditioning or the heat on in the winter.
You can't play that game now that you're married with a young child.
That's called child abuse, Casey,
right.
if you were to.
It's called, well, you got to compromise.
No, I think it's called I would go to prison for neglect of a dependent.
Well, no, that's...
If you went until June and didn't turn your air conditioning on?
Oh, come on. We didn't always have air conditioning. Go over to Europe. They don't have them anywhere. They just sit in the heat.
I am telling you
but
right now.
But you don't want a crabby baby who's hot and sticky and crying.
Well, I didn't know I wouldn't go to jail. Now I may have to rethink things next year.
You're going to have to discuss that with Gabrielle, see how she feels about it.
Do you ever think how people, I mean, you're right. Of course, there was a time where air conditioning was not a thing in this country and people lived, not the quality of life they live now. But do you ever think how people actually did that? That's amazing.
Well, that's why they would go in an ice house to cool off.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
The people, take yesterday. Was it overly hot? No, but the humidity, it was horrible yesterday. And people were living without any sort of cooling mechanism whatsoever.
Yeah, you would hate Europe because, like Casey was saying, it's everywhere. They don't have air conditioning or they don't use it.
You could just stop with, you would hate Europe, period. Let me rephrase it. I do hate Europe, period.
Another thing they don't do is put ice in their drinks. You have to request that.
Do you at your house, do you spend a lot of time do you have an ice machine?
No, not on the fridge.
One of the great regrets, I dog sat for you a couple years ago, and one of my great regrets is that I did not actually plow through more of your home to find out more about your personal business.
Really? Go through all the drawers and cupboards? See what's really going on. You were playing it cool back then.
So do you at your house put ice in your drinks?
Well, sure.
Really?
Yeah.
I know I do that at like a restaurant, but I never do that at my house.
Yeah.
I had mine has the little mechanism, the little handle on it that tells the ice machine when to stop, and it kept breaking. And I decided this is too much effort. So I just basically made it so that it doesn't make ice anymore because it was too much effort to have to keep going in there. And
so are you filling trays? Ice cube trays?
No, I don't do anything. That's why I have a refrigerator.
Yeah.
That's cold enough. If people cannot tolerate the temperature of 36 or whatever I set my refrigerator at, then you'll just have to go somewhere else for your drinks.
Well, because of Bidenomics, electricity going up almost 30% since 2020, but that's not it. You've got gas that's up. You've got natural gas that's up. Of course, eggs, milk,
What's the increase?
chicken.
What's the increase?
On electricity?
Yeah.
It's 29.3% since 2020.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah. But it's not the only thing. You've got eggs and milk and chicken and cars and airfare and transportation, everything going up. But, and by the way, that's not the only thing that's going up. Shoplifting has increased by 22%.
No kidding.
Since 2 years ago.
Have you ever stole anything?
I don't think I have.
You don't think you have?
Besides people's hearts.
Yeah, there you go.
I had you pegged as the most likely person of the group to steal something.
No, that would just weigh on my conscience too much.
Yep. But here is a top Biden advisor, and he's claiming that Biden is working to lower costs. Number 8, Kevin.
On the issue of inflation, inflation is too high. Prices are too high, which is why the President of the United States has been working to lower costs.
Cheer. You realize that, right?
He's been working to lower costs.
He's working on it.
When does that start?
What's that?
When does the lowering of the cost start?
He's still working on it.
I mean, if you say I've been working on fill in the blank, you'd kind of like a progress report on, and I expect it to be completed, whenever. I mean, I've never worked a real job, but I would imagine in a real job, you have tasks to do. Great example. My wife, she has tasks to do, and she gives progress reports to her employer on, I have done blah, 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 and this will be done X date. It didn't seem like we were getting much of we got that he had been working. We didn't get the steps he'd done and when the task would be complete.
I think the progress report comes once a month when you get your bill.
That's well played. That's well played, Casey Daniels.
Yeah.
Let's go to a break.
All right, it's Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC.
Tony Katz.
Do they still do mail in Carmel?
Carmel, don't ever change.
I love the living statues that sit on the benches. They're awesome.
Yes, that's how people from Greenwood earn extra money. Oh, I'm going to get emails. What have I done? You know everybody here is just in debt and house poor up to their ass. Don't you laugh, Zionsville. You have it worse. $1.13 trillion of credit card debt. Half of that is on the west side of Carmel.
Tony Katz, mornings 6 to 9 on 93 WIBC and WIBC.com.
If you can't get a good night's sleep, let me ask you, are you breathing well? Because if you're snoring or waking up each night with a stuffed up nose or frustrated with your CPAP mask, the root of your sleep problem lies in your breathing triangle. And if any one of those passages isn't working, you won't sleep well. And there's no mattress, pill, or other gimmick that can fix that. I'm Dr. Madan Kandula. A recipe for a good night's sleep starts with an open airway. Now, there are devices that can help solve snoring or sleep apnea problems. If you walk into a sleep center, know you'll walk out with a CPAP. And you might find other options elsewhere, but the simple truth is, if your nose doesn't work properly, no device will help. Only at Advent will you find every effective snoring and sleep apnea solution, along with a world-class team that can get your nose working properly again.
Go to adventknows.com to schedule your appointment, because Advent knows when you breathe well, you live better.
Guys, maybe you're working outside, maybe you're trying to get more from your workouts or thinking about a golf tee time. If you're lacking energy, motivation, or gaining weight, there could be another T to think about. That's a low T. Testosterone therapy can help you get back to feeling your best. We recommend Low T Center.
With over a decade of experience, they make it easy. Take a simple blood test and get results back in about 25 minutes. Go to lowtcenter.com to book your appointment online. Low T Center, reinventing men's healthcare.
Angie's List is now Angie, and we've heard a lot of theories about why.
I thought it was an eco move. Fewer words, less paper.
No, it was so you could say it faster.
No, it's to be more iconic.
Must be a tech thing. But those aren't quite right. It's because now you can compare upfront prices, book a service instantly, and even get your project handled from start to finish.
Sounds easy.
It is, and it makes us so much more than just a list. Get started at Angie.com. That's ANGI, or download the app today.
Up to 50% off on all of our windows and doors, plus 12 months, no payments, no interest. It's our great granddaddy of a sale.
Close your eyes and picture it. The warm sun on your face. The sound of waves lapping against the shore. What if I told you that feeling of summer relaxation could be yours all year round? At Howard Bailey Financial, we specialize in retirement planning that lets you embrace that summer state of mind every day. Imagine knowing that your future is secure. With our expert advisors, we'll craft a personalized retirement plan tailored to your dreams. Whether it's traveling the world or pursuing your passions, we'll ensure that your retirement is as carefree and fulfilling as a relaxing summer afternoon. Embrace a summer state of mind and text SUMMER to 888-494-5004. to download our complimentary retirement toolkit and experience your retirement planning with confidence.
This endorsement was not provided by a client of Howard Bailey. This individual was compensated for this endorsement. For more information, visit howardbailey.com/TS1.
You know, we were just talking about the price of everything, and while we were in the commercial break, I just got an email from Spotify. Oh. They said that they're raising my rate from $10.99 a month to $11.99 a month.
Okay, I have just a huge question for you on this. And Kev, you're a Spotify person as well, right?
Yeah.
With all the access to free music now, why would you pay for music? Why are you paying for music?
Well, one, so that the artists can get paid, but
what,
also,
are you running a charity case for the Millionaires Club?
I signed up for it for this show because we were putting a playlist on there for the Kendall and Casey show.
Oh, that's right.
Show. Yeah. So I was taking one for the team.
Well, you should not.
Kendall.
You should not give them. How much are you giving them now?
$12 a month now.
Why?
Did you know that artists, they only get like a fraction of a penny for each
first of all,
stream?
Skippy, why did you stop posting our playlist? Apparently that stopped happening.
You didn't like it. You didn't like the playlist.
I don't like the music you picked, but I accepted that there was a playlist. I mean, poor Casey, barely scraping by here.
I know. They said they're increasing the price so that they can continue to invest in and innovate their product offerings and features and bring me the best experience.
Are you getting the best experience?
When I listen to music, it is pretty good. I mean, I like I like the use of Spotify.
Okay, but like I have a YouTube subscription, or I have something. I don't know. My wife put it on my phone, and I have no idea what's on my phone.
You create a music playlist.
No,
with YouTube.
I type in I want this, and then it makes its own playlist for me, which is super scary. But like I have, and I've kind of come to enjoy this when I'm cutting the grass. What Springsteen song will YouTube tell me I want next? And then sometimes it'll sprinkle in a Michael Stanley or a Jackson Brown in there too. But that's I mean, why would you? Why? I'm curious. Do you feel like you're getting $12 a month worth of good out of this?
I haven't been lately, but yeah, in the past I do. I listen to a lot of music when I'm on the treadmill, so I think it's a good investment for me. I look at it as an investment in the show and my health.
What about you?
Yeah, I use Spotify every single day when I'm in the car, when I'm working out.
But what are you getting on Spotify that you couldn't get on YouTube? Like if I were to type in, Jackson Brown the Pretender, I would get 10,000 versions on YouTube of Jackson Brown the Pretender.
Are you hooking up the YouTube to your CarPlay so that when you get in your car, it automatically turns on?
Am I doing what? With who?
Yeah, through your Bluetooth. In your car?
Yeah, that's funny. You think I have a Bluetooth?
Do you have
ads? I barely have a car.
You have crank windows. You don't even have electric windows.
Do you have the YouTube Red account where you don't have to deal with ads?
Well, here's the weird thing. When I got my phone and I downloaded and installed YouTube, I've never logged into anything. I've never nothing. But when I downloaded that YouTube, it never has ever played any ads. And I thought in the beginning, it was like, okay, it's some sort of trial something or whatever. And then
Are you sure you're not paying for it?
No, Casey. Do you think I'm pretty aware of every single dollar that's coming out of my existence?
Yeah, I do.
Do I strike you as the guy who checks every applicable payment method every single day, multiple times a day?
I'm just wondering if Gabrielle did it on your behalf.
Gabrielle does a lot of things on my behalf. Spending money is not one of them, okay?
Okay.
All right? Like, let's just get that clear in our house. I control the money. But it appears, now Rogan is on Spotify. Is that right? A lot of people subscribe to that because of him.
Yeah.
Do they have other
podcasts?
Spotify-only based content?
Yeah, there are a lot of podcasters that will post clips on YouTube, but then their full show will be on Spotify.
You have to go to Spotify in order to get the full show. Huh.
It's just like asking, you've got your premium TV streaming services at home, right? So this is just another version of that.
I feel pretty good about my existence knowing nothing about technology. I mean, it really... I know the things that I need to do. I can get on the social media. I can do the email. And, I can, with some level of skill, operate the various streaming apps, whatever those.
Sure.
I mean, they're all on the TV, and I can maneuver through those. And
what do you think the top social media platform is currently, today, right now,
like
as we speak?
Used in the world? TikTok.
Nope.
Is it Instagram?
Nope.
Is it Twitter?
No.
Is it Facebook?
No. You're running out, aren't you?
Those are the only ones I know.
It is YouTube.
That's not a social media
Yeah, that's
app.
social media. People can comment, they can engage.
No. You're not posting
We're on
pictures
it
of your-
right now,
But
and we tell people to go in the chat room.
Yeah, but that's
and
a social media. That's like that's a TV network.
YouTube is the most important social media app.
YouTube is not social media. That's a television. We are on television right now. If I'm looking at myself on a screen, that's television.
No.
It looks like a television.
Well,
it's even
it
in a box
is,
like a
but
television.
it's how people upload their videos,
I
their
thought
content.
social media was something like where you could put like
not just-
posts and your dog and
Well, you are doing posts, but you're just doing it in video form.
Huh.
Yeah. So YouTube is the leading social media app. 1.35 trillion visitors.
Well,
every
I
year.
didn't know it was social media. I was thinking like, the traditional I log in on an application and I post my thing and then you know what YouTube did that really makes me angry?
What's that?
My YouTube viewing is way down because they banned all those predator hunters. They started nixing them, deplatforming them. And
So you don't go to it as
well,
much.
they originally there are all these words then you couldn't say on YouTube. So they either had to edit their videos or they had to avoid saying, which blows my mind. We're not talking profanity. We're talking about like the acts the alleged predator was engaging with. And they couldn't say the words or they would have to bleep them out of their videos.
Because they'd get demonetized.
Yes. And then these deplatformed or whatever, like a bunch of these guys I used to watch just don't exist anymore. They're just gone.
Majority of people access YouTube on their mobile device, so their phone or an iPad, and it is strongest with male users. You were pretty close with your guess a moment ago.
TikTok?
TikTok is the second most popular social media app. Listen to this. In the past year, it has had a 6,015% increase. 41.8 billion users.
This is why I like that am not seeking to expand my technological horizons because
you're good.
I'm pigeonholed, right? Like
Yeah.
I'm in the soup I'm going to be in until the day they throw me in a box somewhere or on a jar and put me on the mantle.
You're
Like
not interested in picking up a new platform.
I've got my three. I've got the Instagram, I've got the Twitter, I've got the Facebook, I guess I've got four. I've got the YouTube. What else?
So
what else do I need?
In order, the top 10 are YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and then it goes down to Reddit, WhatsApp, LinkedIn, Twitch, and
WhatsApp?
Quora.
What?
WhatsApp?
WhatsApp's.
Can you say the rest of those slower because you started speaking another language?
So
there.
after Instagram, you stopped understanding. It
Yeah.
was Reddit.
I know what Reddit is.
WhatsApp.
What is that?
It's a communication tool. It's kind of like texting.
It's what all the Europeans use to text people.
Is that because you can go amongst other countries or something?
Yes.
Yeah, it's international.
Okay.
Yep. And then LinkedIn. You're familiar with that.
Is that social media?
Well,
I thought that was like a resume builder. I have one of those.
Professional networking.
I am
social
always
media.
amazed. I always get the notifications. Fred Flintstone has followed you on LinkedIn. The only thing I ever post on LinkedIn is the State House Happenings show.
Yeah.
And I'm amazed why, is it a friend on LinkedIn?
Yeah.
Is that what it's called? I'm your friend?
Connection.
Or connection.
Yeah.
I'm always amazed anyone would want to connect with me because I'm not seeking employment. I'm not hiring anyone. And I post one thing a week on there. And yet, like, it seems like 5 to 10 times somebody wants to be my friend on LinkedIn.
I got one of those last night, and I didn't know who the person was, but they were a friend of or a follower or a connection of yours.
Oh.
So
probably an upstanding member of society.
Probably. After LinkedIn, you've got Twitch, which is for gamers, and then
It's a
Quora
what?
for gamers, people who play games.
Yeah,
you know,
what's it called? It's called what?
It's called Twitch.
Twitch.
And what do you do there?
You stream your. You basically, it's like people who play
these
video
are
games.
these are the
stream it.
nerds who
Live
film
stream their
themselves
video
playing
games.
video
There
games.
was a guy who worked here that used to do Twitch.
He don't work here anymore. What's that say about him?
The last one
It
is
didn't work out well, did it?
the last one is Quora.
It's a who?
Quora.
Yeah.
It's where you ask questions, knowledge sharing. Yeah.
Everyone on Quora thinks they're like a professor or
Oh,
something, or a
you
doctor.
could go there and get like expert advice.
Yeah, it's supposed to be like an intelligent
Right.
forum for
Absolutely. Like I said, I've got my 4. I think I'm good. I didn't know LinkedIn was a social media app either. I thought it was like a resume builder.
Yeah,
place.
well, that's what a lot of people use it as, a landing spot for their resume.
Right.
Yeah. We've got to talk about Pat Sajak and also Michael Jordan. Can we do that coming up?
Perfect. Did you see how much that Michael Jordan basketball card sold for?
I did. A lot of money. Talking about the price of things, some people still have a lot of money. It's Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
On to the next step. I'm Kurt Darling. Here's what's trending at 11:30. The city moving ahead with a proposed soccer stadium for a possible MLS team, even though some city leaders say it's not necessary.
We have a commitment that we made as a council for the Diamond Chain site. What I do know is that we had plans to move forward with that. We had a groundbreaking. I remember that.
Councilor Michael Hart, he's referring to 11 Park, which was proposed for Indy 11, but the mayor pulled the city out of that deal, and with last night's approval by city councilors, they're sending a new proposed tax district to state lawmakers for consideration. Republicans grilling Attorney General Merrick Garland on Capitol Hill today. Ohio Republican Jim Jordan claimed justice is no longer blind in America under the current Department of Justice, citing the criminal cases brought against Donald Trump. I'm Kurt Darling, on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
When you protect your corn and soy crops with Miravis Neal fungicide, you'll start seeing a lot more than just cleaner and greener fields. You'll get longer-lasting disease control, better plant health benefits, less plant stress, higher potential yield, and increased ROI potential. Ask your Syngenta retailer about Miravis Neo and start seeing more green in your fields, on your yield monitor, and in your wallet.
Always read and follow label instructions. Leave low yields in the dust and never look back. Rev up your return on investment with Syngenta. Our innovative portfolio of crop protection products outperforms and out-yields any deal, giving you higher yield and profit potential at the finish line. Syngenta, where better yield is the better deal. Always read and follow label instructions.
911, what's your emergency?
In an emergency, voice is best. But what if you can't call?
Escalated domestic disturbance reported east of downtown. Be advised, alert was received by a 911 emergency text. Caller is hiding in a closet and can't use her voice.
When the situation is too dangerous to make a call, text to 911. Capability Now helps Hoosiers. But in most emergencies, voice is still best.
My sister's not breathing. Please hurry.
In the last 5 years, Hoosiers have used text capability in over 1 million 911 sessions. It's of great help to the deaf and speech impaired and to those in select dangerous situations. Thanks to the statewide 911 board, Indiana leads the nation with all 92 counties having in- and outbound text capability. For more, visit in911.net.
It's good to hear your voice. Help is on the way.
911. Before you text, voice is best.
Greetings from R&R Agency, your Indiana health insurance pros. And a thank you to our loyal customers for making our agency a national sales leader for the 7th straight year. We recently saved a family of 4 over $500 monthly when compared to their ACA plan. You know it's still Obamacare, right? We've recently saved a 61-year-old retiring couple over $600 when compared to their COBRA plan. Breaking news. We are now able to offer health insurance to employer groups of all sizes with 2 of the largest insurers in the Midwest. We'll be here when you need us. Quoting my favorite president, what the heck do you have to lose? We can help. As always, God bless America, or at least what's left of her.
Call Ron or Terry at 317-563-0868. That's 317-563-0868. Or go to rragency.org. That's rragency.org. A health plan managed and chosen by you, not the government.
Hey guys, it's Rob from my friends at Life Church. It's Tuesday. I mean, Sunday's going to be here before you know it. And this Sunday, if you're thinking about a new church home or even a first church home, many WIBC listeners over the years have found a home at Life Church. And you got nothing to lose, everything to gain. Check it out for yourself this Sunday. Life Church is warm. They're welcoming. You're so much more than just a number at Life Church. You're an individual. And see it for yourself. Campuses all across central Indiana, Noblesville, Fishers, Eagle Creek, and Pendleton, plus amazing online services. Learn more about everything at lifechurchin.com.
Will you be the one? This summer, Shepherd Community will spend hundreds of hours with 200 kids, learning, adventuring, and experiencing life-transforming relationships. Help us make a difference for one child. For just $28, you can impact a child for one day at Shepherd. One moment, one relationship can make a difference in the life of a child. You can be the one. Visit shepherdcommunity.org/be the one to give today. That's shepherdcommunity.org/be the one.
As a caregiver, managing your loved one's health can at times be overwhelming. This is Tina McIntosh, president of Joy's House and co-host of the Caregiver Crossing radio program. In a moment, I'll share 3 tips to help you manage your loved one's medical care effectively.
At Cardon Senior Living Communities, you'll find our teams share a commitment to enhancing the lifestyle and well-being of the people we serve every day at every stage of life.
Tip number 1, keep a list of all medications, dosages, and schedules to ensure your loved one is taking their medication correctly. Second, attend doctor's appointments with your loved one when you're able. And finally, stay organized by keeping forms, notes, and other important documents in one secure place. More tips like this are available anytime at caregivercrossingradio.org. With new weekly content created by Joy's House and distributed in partnership with Network Indiana, we're an on-air and online support group for Hoosier family caregivers. Hear conversations with experts, access a library of online education, and more at caregivercrossingradio.org.
You're listening to the Kendall and Casey Show on 93 WIBC.
Give me a ticket for an aeroplane.
Well, it's the end of an era for one guy. After more than 40 years of hosting Wheel of Fortune, Pat Sajak's final episode is going to air this Friday, 7 p.m. You can see it on WTHR.
What's the longest you've ever worked somewhere?
12 years.
Wow, that's a long time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Were you ready to go when it was time to go, or did they tell you your services are no longer required?
No, it was me. I was ready to move on to something new. I've been doing the same thing for a long time.
Seems like a long time to do anything.
Yeah. It was when I was programming a radio station in South Bend.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. What about you?
I mean, does self-employment count?
Sure.
Well, I mean, I owned my own business for, I guess, what have I done that now for 18 years? I mean, I've been...
So still going.
It's not my primary source of income anymore.
Mm-hmm.
This and the state are the only places I've ever, like, air quote, worked.
And you've been here, what, 7 years?
I've been here 7 years.
Yeah.
This is my, so December of 2016.
You think you'll make it 40 like Pat Sajak?
I feel like we have already exceeded our life expectancy on radio. I mean, at least I have, making it here 7 years. I never thought I'd make it 7 months.
Yeah. I've been at 30.
My favorite thing
Yeah.
was when I first started working here, I was the fill-in guy. And you know how they work around here. They'll just because they got people with varieties of schedules, and Matt Himlin, our boss, kind of handles the scheduling, and I think he did back then too. Like, they'll just tell you when they need you. But I was living in this environment of oh man, I'd do a show and then you wouldn't hear from them for like a month. And you'd be like, well, guess I blew it. Don't know what I said. Guess it's all over for me. And then you just get a random email. Can you work Wednesday? Oh, they love me again. Now you realize they looked at the schedule and realized that we needed somebody for cats this week.
So Pat Sajak's saying that the show has been more than just a television program, but actually became part of the popular culture.
TV is hard, though. That's why I never did television. There's those people in television, you were in television. There's a lot more work in television than there is in, say, radio.
Well, the camera picks up everything.
Right.
Every body movement, everything you wear. Yeah, very structured. And it's like a choreographed dance because there's somebody in the master control booth and with the director and, the technical director, and everybody's got to work together as a team.
Yeah.
Whereas in radio, I can just point at Kevin and he'll press a button, right?
Yeah, when Hammer had his betting show on Wish, I used to do that with him, from time to time. And it was like, look at this camera. Now look at this camera. Now say your thought. It's like, I don't even know what camera I'm supposed to be looking at.
Yeah, and you got an earpiece and somebody's talking into your ear, giving you time cues and everything.
And those camera people be pointing at each other. It's like, who am I supposed to look at now?
Which we look for the red light. But Pat, he said that it was very important that he became a part of people's lives.
Yeah.
And that was the most gratifying part of things.
Institution. Yeah. Hey, did your husband get in on that Michael Jordan card that just sold? Was he near the end of the bidding?
Oh, yeah, because we got an extra $3 million laying around.
So your husband is a uber Michael Jordan fan.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, he is.
the record has been set for all time for a Michael Jordan basketball card.
Yep.
This one's it got close to $3 million. I don't think it eclipsed $3 million.
$2.928 million. This sold on Golden over the weekend.
Okay, so this was what they call a logo man card. For those of you who are not familiar with sports cards, in basketball, the premium card is what's called a logo man card, and I think a variety of card companies have these, where on every jersey, NBA jersey, it's Jerry West is who the guy is, but he's referred to as logo man because it's a silhouette of a guy, and it's the guy dribbling the basketball. It's the logo for the NBA. You've seen it a million times. But on the jersey, that's a part of the jersey is the logo man. And in basketball cards, for whatever reason, the logo man card, these cards are called jersey cards. So it's like a picture of the player, and then they take an actual cloth of the jersey that the player wore, and they stick it in the card, if you can envision this. And the logo man card is worth infinitely more than every other version of a basketball card. Now, this card is also signed by Michael Jordan. It also has a premium grade in terms of condition.
Right.
And
$3 million.
Oh, $3 million.
So Ken Golden, who's the CEO of Golden Auction, said that it's generational and a legendary card. It had been actually a long lost card. No one had seen it since 2003.
Well, it wasn't lost. Somebody knew where it was.
Well, a collector owned it and had it, and then finally put it back up for auction. But it is the single best and single most valuable Michael Jordan card.
Do you have a limit? Do you and your husband have limits on what you're allowed to spend before you have to talk to the other person?
Yes. I'm not going to tell you what the limit is. I know that's what you want to know. I think most married couples do. Like there's a little wiggle room, and then there's the wait a minute. That's either quite an investment or quite an expense.
Well, my wife and I have an agreement where I handle the bills, right? And then my wife has her expenses that she handles, and then she pays for a certain portion of our expenses, an agreed upon number every single month.
Yeah.
And she hands me that amount of money. And that's our agreement that I have. I say, you spend your money however you see fit, as long as you pay your portion of the bills and you hand me that agreed upon amount. What you do with your money is up to you.
Is it agreed upon amount or is it a percentage?
No, it's an amount.
Because what are you doing with inflation? Do you have to readjust?
My wife birthed my child. She is exempt from inflationary pressures. We have the same amount each month. And part of shooting out a shorty is you're exempt from inflationary pressure. So, and we all know I'm super good with money. So it's like, I will make sure everything's paid for. You have your part of the responsibility. And then whatever else you do, however you spend it, you know what you got. That's on you.
Okay, so for this basketball card, this Michael Jordan card, there were 29 other bids on this card before Saturday, before the high bidder got it at the nearly $3 million. Plus, there was the
juice,
22% buyer's
you got
premium.
the juice, right? So people need to remember that when you buy on eBay, the seller is eating the premium. The seller's paying eBay. When you buy at these large auction houses, whether it's Heritage, Golden, I think Sotheby's is probably the same way. You have to tack on, what is it now? Is it 22%? Is that what you said?
Yep.
Okay. It's somewhere usually between 10 and I guess now 22% on top of whatever you paid for the thing. That money then goes to the house. So this dude actually, assuming it was a man, that's very sexist of me, but let's just say it was. This dude spent actually closer to like $3.6 million on this card.
So apparently Bidenomics is working for some people.
Well, this is the conversation we've had, is that there's such a wealth discrepancy in this country.
Someone's got $3.5 million just to put down on a
The very
card.
rich continue to get richer, and the middle class, it's making it harder and harder for them to get by, and they're being pushed down out of the middle class. That's a really dangerous way to run a country.
So I'm trying to convince the dude just to sell the whole lot.
Everything?
Everything.
Sell it all?
Just by one person, like who can afford a $3 million Michael Jordan basketball card.
Yeah.
Tell him you give him the whole collection and see where you land.
But what would he do without his hobbies? See, like with me, I have no hobbies. This is my hobby. It's what I do. My other hobby, I work at a golf course. That's my other hobby. I've turned my hobbies into money. So I don't really have things that I have to do. This is what he does. He collects stuff. What would he do if he, you can't take a man's life from him like that, Casey. Come on.
He's not biting, by the way.
No, you got to give somebody something. You got to give somebody some reason to live, right?
Absolutely.
And that is his. I mean, That is an insane amount of money to pay for a little piece of cardboard, though.
Yeah.
Because ultimately, that's what it is. It's a little piece of cardboard with a piece of cloth on it, and some guy put a marker on it, which he did to sign his signature. $3 million.
$3 million. I wonder if it's, what is that person going to do with it now? They paid $3 million for this basketball card.
You're going to sit on it.
And they're going to sit on it for, 20
years?
years?
He paid $3.6 million with the Jews.
Well, right. So what, they're going to sit on it for 20 years and hope that...
People lost a lot of money over the past several years, though, in the sports memorabilia industry because of those crazy prices they were paying during COVID. Hey, there's a big issue about whether we're going to have a free and fair debate coming up this fall for governor.
Yeah, will Donald Rainwater be included in the debates that have already been scheduled? We're going to talk to him coming up from 93 WIBC.
Lonely days ago, I'm going home. My baby used to whip me a little.
Coming up on the Hammer and Nigel show, nobody has more fun than we do in the afternoons. Guy Relford filling in for Hammer. We kick it off at 3:06 right after the news, 93 WIBC.
Are you feeling jitters from the potential impact the election could have on your financial future? With so much news about how your investments could be impacted, it's hard to feel confident your portfolio is built to withstand it all. Let Creative Planning help you evaluate your portfolio for election readiness. Go to creativeplanning.com/radio and request your free election readiness review. When you have the right plan and portfolio, you don't have to fear the election. Act now. This offer is only good till Monday at midnight. creativeplanning.com/radio.
The doctor's office that accidentally mixed up your files has your social security number. The power company that mistakenly cut your service has your payment info. And the hotel that lost your reservation has your passport number. You need LifeLock because your personal info is in endless places that can expose you to identity thieves. LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points every second. If your identity is stolen, we'll fix it, guaranteed or your money back. Save up to 40% with promo code NEWS at LifeLock.com. Terms apply.
Reach your fitness goals in 2024 with the 20-minute once-a-week program at Exercise Inc. 5 locations now in Fishers. Visit exerciseinc.com.
Never miss your favorite shows on WIBC. Get your content to go. Tony Katz, Kendall and Casey, Hammer and Nigel, Tony Kennett, The Gun Guy, Home and Garden. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.
And there goes the last DJ who plays what he wants to play and says what
Well, just because you're on the ballot doesn't mean you have a right to exist in some people's minds. It is the Kendall and Casey show. I'm Rob Casey's here. You know, we did that story yesterday, Casey, that they've announced the debates.
Yeah.
Well, at least Braun has announced the debates to which he is going to participate in.
Yep. The first debates are going to be Tuesday, October 1st on Fox, and then another one on Wish TV Thursday, October 3rd.
And what was interesting in the story to us is he was talking about debating Jennifer McCormick. And I thought that was fascinating because we know there will at least be one other person who will be on everyone's ballot across the state of Indiana, which is Donald Rainwater, the Libertarian.
Not invited.
Well, we don't know yet because CBS 4 and Fox 59 have some really wacky standards. Just simply being on everyone's ballot in the state of Indiana apparently doesn't guarantee you that you can be heard in their debates. Of course, they iced out the 2 black people.
Right. Jamie Rittenauer and Curtis Hill.
From the Republican debate.
Right.
And now they've got a standard, it appears, of 10% for the general election, and it's also $100,000 in quarter contributions.
Yep.
So I said, well, it appears like they're trying to just silence voices who are being heard throughout the state of Indiana. And you might be able to silence them on Fox 59, but you can't silence them here. Donald Rainwater joins us now. Rainwater, hello.
Good morning. How are both of you today?
Well, we're doing fine. I would ask for your initial response to this, which is you obviously are the Libertarian nominee for governor. You got 345,000 votes in 2020. You got 11.4% of the voting populace voted for you. And now it appears Fox 59 and CBS 4 may not be interested in what you have to say. What have you heard about this?
Well, let me first of all add to your list of accomplishments from 2020 the fact that I also received second-place votes in 33 out of 92 Indiana counties. That's over a third.
Yeah, that's really a big deal. No.
Counties,
Wait,
over 20% of the vote.
Wait, Don. Yeah, I want to give you credit. That's a really big deal. Go into that. You beat the Democrat in 33 counties in the state of Indiana in 2020.
That's correct. So obviously voters feel that what we have to say is not only valid, but preferred in many parts of the state of Indiana. And I would say that one of the reasons that we didn't do better was because there was early voting several weeks before the debates took place in 2020. And we heard that a lot of people were very upset that they cast their vote, and then they saw me in the debates and wished that they could change their vote. But, you know, what we're here to talk about today, Rob, is something that, in my opinion, is much more troubling.
What's that?
The Indiana Debate Commission was founded in 2007, hosted its first gubernatorial debates with 3 candidates in 2008, hosted the debates in which I participated in 2020 with Dr. Woody Myers and Governor Eric Holcomb. However, evidently, someone has decided that the Indiana Debate Commission and their policy of allowing all balloted candidates to participate in the debates just isn't acceptable anymore. I haven't heard from the Indiana Debate Commission as to why they have stepped aside. If one of the candidates who is participating in the ballot have said that they will not participate in an Indiana Debate Commission debate, then we can have an empty podium and talk about that during the debates.
Donald Rainwater is our guest. So it seems like Braun is just dictating what's happening here, which blows my mind. Hey, we'll do this one. Hey, we'll do that one. Hey, we won't do this one. And everybody just goes, oh, okay, thanks. It's so weird that, one, Braun didn't say anything when the black people were kicked off the debate stage during the primary, and now he's dictating where he's going to debate, and he doesn't act like you even exist. It's so weird that Mike Braun is so afraid to have all of his competition be heard.
Well, and I don't know. I haven't heard Senator Braun come out and say that he will not allow me to debate. I do know that in the Indiana Capital Chronicle article that came out yesterday, that he is quoted as saying, as a Main Street entrepreneur, I believe in competition and a spirited discussion about the issues facing Hoosiers. Mm-hmm. And if that's the case, he should believe in having to stand on a debate stage with me at least twice so that we can have competition and a spirited discussion, as he claims he wants.
Yeah, because let's face it, you are
is that if Mr. Braun is able to rewrite the rules of how Hoosier gubernatorial debates are done by saying he will or will not do such, what type of governor is he going to be?
Yeah, because let's face it, Don, you are the competition.
What will he try to change and make go his way that may not fit with the state constitution or state legislative statutes? If Mr. Braun has to do it his way, to me, that calls into question whether he represents Hoosiers or not.
So, Donald, you've confirmed that you are going to participate in the October 3rd debate, which is on WISH TV. Is that being sanctioned by the Debate Commission?
No, not to my knowledge. I have seen no evidence of that. And again, I've heard nothing from the Indiana Debate Commission. To my knowledge, we received an invitation from WISH TV, and we accepted it. We have not received any invitation, nor to my knowledge, have we received any delineation of the exact requirements, the criteria for the Fox 59 CBS 4 debate.
Hey, Don, real quick.
I would love for someone to reach out and tell me exactly what my supporters need to do to ensure that their candidate is on the debate stage.
So, Don, real quick before we let you go, theoretically, let's say you got 345,000 votes in 2020. Let's say the poll showed you at 9.8%, which would mean, let's say you then would have 300,000 votes theoretically. What CBS 4 and Fox 59 are basically saying is we're totally disinterested in how 300,000 people feel about things. I mean, the polling threshold to me is just, like, if you want to say somebody's got to get 3%, okay, fine, whatever. But this idea that at 300,000 people, we don't care what they have to say, that's ludicrous to me.
That is, you're correct, but I'm going to take that a step further. The reality is that being required to report at least $100,000 in contributions sounds to me as if they don't, first of all, they don't believe that my supporters will donate that money. And if you believe that I should be on the debate stage, I need you to go to rainwaterforindiana.com. There are two donate buttons, one for credit, debit, and Apple Pay, the other one for PayPal. You can also send me a check at Rainwater for Indiana, Post Office Box 451, Nineveh, Nineveh, Indiana 46164. The reality is they are going to say that my supporters, people who believe in my message for the state of Indiana, are not important enough to be represented on the debate stage. So if you get called for a general election poll, even if you haven't made up your mind what you're going to do on November 5th, tell them you're voting for Rainwater.
It's Don. We got to go. I love you, man. Rainwaterforindiana.com. That's still the website, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, we got to go. Casey, take us home.
All right, thank you for listening today. Thank you, Rob. Thank you, Kevin. And we'll catch you back here tomorrow. It's Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC.
Who is the only real estate expert I would trust with the sale of my home, and I would also trust with finding me a new home? It's Mark Dietl. It happened with Dan and Casey in Indianapolis. They were ready to downsize. They needed to sell quickly, but to make it all work, they needed to get a great price, of course. Mark Dietl made it happen.